Alright, let's hear those gyros and get into game. Oh gosh, I just flicked the volume up at the wrong second there. Oh, that was a very large peak there. Okay, level 1, Weber walking at them. Assume going into the 1v3, flashing away. Not loving that, actually. Flashing forwards for the slow, trying to minion block him with his own character model. That'll work. Assume's gonna die for first blood, most likely here. Puts down the barrier, and it doesn't matter. 3 summoners used, but NIP still lose first blood. We said that Weber needed a good level 1 to 6. Well, the level 1 was great there. Great flash forward by the Hank. I mean, Lucius should never walk up like that, surely. You see everyone there. And the level 1 of an Ezreal Karma is possibly the best of any lane in meta right now. Trundle also picked purely for level 1 reasons in some cases. You know, all of those champions just walk at you, and they are very good at level 1. The exhaust means that the Lucian doesn't get much done. JDG has gone for some camp steals in bot side. Got himself the red buff. Going over to his own Raptors now, making sure that he's not losing any camps on his side of the jungle. In fact, he went red and Raptors, clearly taking them very quickly, and then he gets to defend his own Raptors. Guo went for Wolves, went for a Raptor invade on the other side, and now my worry is, this has the hallmarks of a losing NIP game, where Guon does not get the early jungle advantage, where he does get his camp stolen away from him, and NIP then have to wait until mid-game for kind of creative plays to get back into it. But that puts a lot of responsibility onto NIP to get to mid-game and start to look for these flashy picks. It's easier to do that with a Vi than a Qiyana, even though Qiyana is an LPL specialty. I'm getting quite worried here for NIP already, only 2.5 minutes in. Kaz pushing up in the mid lane. Had a mixed series the other day, we shall say. Did that thing where he, you know, bonked on his own team. By the way, I've been looking into Shyvana a little bit in terms of, because they had a Shyvana game just yesterday. And, yeah, be interested to see if they pull that one out again. Shyvana and the Enchanters. Now that sounds like a band name. Shyvana and the Enchanters. Potential jump forwards here to level 3 to level 2. They do end up getting themselves level 3 on that wave, though. Good body block by Draw to stop Assume taking as much damage. Onivia is my fave part of the NIP draft, but I don't trust Hoya. Hoya's been one of the better players for NIP, I think. I think he's actually been one of the better ones. Go on, turn around bot side, does have the Water Blade. Remember, there's no flashes on him. This should actually just be a free kill here. That's just the over push. The Hank should just die. There you go. Easy kill. Guon walks down, and we did say that, you know, Guon needed to get back into the game. That's not a bad start there. The Hank, I'm not really respecting the fact that with no flash, he's a bit of a sitting duck, really. Game 1, Qiyana versus Trundle as well. Yeah, we really went quite deep into the bans against junglers because they got picked up quite late. Qiyana was the last pick, which meant that more jungle bans could be put through to them. So stuff like Neferi was banned, you know what I mean. You know, we haven't seen Qiyana for a little bit. Qiyana was very popular end of last year in the LPL specifically. And then at Worlds as well. LCK finally managed to pick up the champion for Worlds, really. They were quite poor at it before that point. And then kind of Qiyana fell off a little bit. You know, LPL was the region of Qiyana jungle last year. We have a lot of players who are still very talented at it. Not that Guon was here last year, but still. The environment here in LPL is very accepting of Qiyana players. Got players like Beifeng, who's the best Qiyana in the world in solo queue. He's a mid lane Qiyana. So he has the extra difficulty modifier of actually having to lane with a champion. Now, Qiyana is down 10 CS right now. JDG is a significant amount of camps and XP over Guon. NIP is the definition of a random 5-stack having chemistry. I mean, that's obviously that's, you know, exaggerated for effect. But yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with the spirit of it. You know, NIP are a team that shouldn't have really come together. Not in the way which they have done. The chemistry between them has been exceptional. W missing there from Elk. Q is not. Now, players like Guon coming off of a poor year in the LCP individually on a poor team. There were caveats, but he didn't exactly, you know, give himself a glowing review from that one. Hoya, you know, had a good series, one in winter against BLG. That was kind of the end of it. Care was the last mid laner for FunPlus Phoenix. Middling results there throughout most of his tenure. Assume and Draw, both bot laners who I didn't think would amount to much. And they definitely did a lot more than that. Potential gank onto Xiaohu here. Did they get the Rune Prison? Not enough, though. Guon was looking for an opportunity, couldn't find anything. Wastes time while JJ is taking dragons, so doesn't get anything for that attempt. JJ walks away first dragon for Weibo. Bot lane, trading heavily again. Exhaust coming out now, actually. See that draw potentially positioning to stop Ezreal Qs. The W actually landing there onto Team Elk's E is down, so we can't proc it so easily, though. 10 CS lead for Elk. Part of that will be the fact that Assume died at the level 1 and lost some of that early farm. They've managed to maintain a decent amount of pressure since then, despite the Hank dying. Unfortunately from Assume again. Doesn't have the buffs this time. Might have to blow that flash. Instead, going straight forwards. Assume can see the kill in his eyes and will get it. He will die for it, though. A kill for Assume, traded for a kill for JJ. Now, Elk doesn't get the kill participation. Well, he gets the assist, so he doesn't get the kill awarded to him. So Assume walks away with more gold, but JJ does on the Trundle. Who does that matter more for? I think the gold on the Lucian matters more. And Ezreal being out of the lane for the farm for a little bit, same as the Lucian, means that the Ezreal is just kind of losing out in the individual matchup. That's good for Assume, understanding that you can kind of go forwards and get something for that aggressive play. Hoya has the wave on his side. He's doing fine against Zucker in this top lane, actually. You know, the swiftness boots have come out for Zucker to stop some of that slow being so threatening from the Onivia. Hoya just trying to... You'll notice that Hoya can manipulate the wave on Onivia quite easily, actually, by maxing out the W. That'll come in a couple of levels' time, but once he gets that W, he can start kind of forcing minions around the tower and start slowing their pathing down by kind of walling off his own minions in lane. Means that he can kind of freeze the wave on his lane. Haha, Onivia, freezing. But yeah, he can do a lot of good wave manipulation. And we've seen Hoya do that, actually, on LPL stage before. Ooh, good trade there. Electrocute onto him. You landing onto Zucker too, despite the swiftness boots reducing the slow. I think that's going to set up NIP for an uncontested Grubs now. Without the Varus being high HP, you can't really contest this, surely. Go on, going up towards the second grub. Well, I mean, the Rise isn't actually there for the contest right now. I think Onivia would have to come down, which is now what they're doing. JJ will have to go. Hang on, he does have the smite. Okay, they don't manage to keep him out of river, so that is going to be the one grub over towards Weibo. They don't manage to... NIP don't manage to get all three. Who is the Hank? The Hank is an LDL support called up to Weibo because Hung was really struggling for them. Ugh, just sneezed. Ugh, need to take my hand. Where's my antihistamine? I need to go find it. Oh, gosh. Well, at least Sam's out, so he can't shout at me for that. I say shout, but he just jokes about it. Assume not getting that first item just yet. Alk trading very well on Solution, actually. 20 CS up. Yeah, Alk's having a fun time of it in terms of the actual individual trading. Still can't figure out why JJ killed those minions bot. Hang on, shove onto Care. Pops the ghost in return. He's pretty low here. Does have the ultimate maybe to get out of dodge. Might not need it, actually. We'll be able to recall. Bot lane assumes he's the last of his mana. Doesn't have enough mana for a dash now. He's not maxed it out, so he doesn't have the ability to use it for free. Assume goes down. No mana left for him. The culling leaves him dry. Go on flashing away now too. And NIP, this bot lane 2v2 is definitely not going that easily for them. The egg popped in topside. Zucker will take the passive of the Onivia. Not that Hoya will die. The passive gone from Onivia. See if the Weibo can maybe get a play onto that Onivia in the next 5 minutes while it's down. Now the bot lane's in trouble. So you're losing another wave to turret. Good amount of CS lost there. And yes, Elk lost some earlier, but now Assume has died a couple of times in lane, losing out on a fair amount of XP and gold. You can't figure out why JDG killed the minions bot lane. I think it's because the wave would have frozen, and then I think by killing the minions there, you kind of allow the wave to reset in the middle rather than having it over push for the next bit while you had no summoners. I need to go back and check the exact circumstances, but that tends to be the logic of it. It seems they're swapping away from bot lane. That's how badly it's going. They're swapping away towards top side. Assume and draw were the core of NIP's success for so much of this split. Today, yesterday, definitely not been so easy. The Lucian was their kind of their iconic pick too. Assume and draw were the Lucian Milio bot lane, and they were doing so well with it. We're trying to bully out Elk now, but, you know, Elk's very fine in this 1v1. Go on walking over. Has the propane Hydra and propane-related accessories. He loves hydrocarbons, let me tell you. JJ heading down towards bot side. Hoya has no passive, and the Subjugate is coming back up. So this is probably a dead Onivia. He's going to have to try and keep the wave away from tower. Xiaohu just keeps auto-attacking down there. Wall away on the hang. The pillar goes down. That's a good stun, actually. Hoya is outplaying in the dive. The Subjugate goes down, and Elk has to flash away. That's not a bad play from Hoya. Great wall to stop the hang from getting into the play. Hey, Shu, good to see you. Xiaohu will push in mid lane. Care down a significant amount of CS now. Xiaohu's actually having a pretty good time of it here in mid lane too. Did say that Weibo's lanes were looking pretty solid on the whole. Oya ends up getting himself a good amount of gold there though. He's the one that's ahead for NIP. But that wall is really game changing for him. Manages to get the stun onto the Trundle then at that point. If they'd managed to get the Karma Q and the Karma could tank, then it would have been a very different dive. Not able to do so though. The wall usage very good from Hoya. Propane related accessories make sense in a game with the Hank. Exactly, you know, Hank kills propane Hydra and propane related accessories. Makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, I guess the Rune Prison on target. The Water Blade, it hits, but then weirdly actually Guon misses the second blade onto the rooted target. That would have been good damage onto Xiaohu, especially with the Dragon available. That might have actually won them that for free. Well, half HP. I still think Xiaohu should probably not be fighting from this HP. Hang on, flash forward. Sorry, not the flash, the flash frost. Hoya's going very low, and he doesn't have the passive. Zuka just kills him. It was that flash forward. The overlay didn't update in time for me to, because I was looking away at chat there. Zuka ends up getting that first kill in this lane here, and the Varus starts to pop off. All right. Those Swiftness boots into the Onivia, they definitely work wonders, and then just the base levels of Varus. Varus is so good. When he gets that W, just leveled up a little bit. Onivia Varus is top is this season 3. Hang on, that's a pretty good combo from Guon, but the damage behind it isn't great. Now here comes the Realm Warp. JJ puts down the Subjugate. Care will be able to finish off the kill onto the Hank, but will he be able to extricate himself? There's a teleport coming through from the Varus. He's got no ultimate, but I don't think it'll matter. Care is too far behind enemy lines. It's a 1-for-1. Guon low. Oh, he shouldn't have walked up like that. Crossblade's not bad. We'll use Xiaohu as an escape route, but not quite. Cut off on the fire exit. Assume will take one. It's then ending up, suppose, in a 2-for-2 because of that. Assume that last kill, very important, evens things up. Kuon, very good initial engage, but the damage behind it wasn't quite there to finish the play off as quickly as NIP would have wanted. Weibo, quite an important series for them, I feel. You know, Weibo, a team which we had great expectations for, and then they made this quite, I think, ill-informed support swap with WE of Erha, and then Hung going to Weibo. So it wasn't a swap, but like they gave Erha over to WE, and then Hung came back onto Weibo. And while the Hank, I don't think it's been anything revolutionary, I guess we'll see whether it affects the chemistry of the team. Because I think that if JJ is playing with Hung, it feels like he's just not as good at kind of judging his angles on the map. Triforce for the Trundle, by the way. Don't always see that. We do see the Sundered Sky sometimes for being kind of full tank duty, but here it's the Triforce again. We're seeing that quite a lot this week. Dragon over to the side of Waver. That'll be their second one. Care now into the side lane. Every role quest has been completed. Assume and Elk very even. Xiaohu ahead in mid lane. Top lane quite even too, actually. Hoya has done quite a good job of outplaying in certain situations, but took a flashing forward for that kill last time. You give him a good amount of gold back in the individual matchup. He's gone for the Hex Plate first. On this top lane Varus. I do forget that Hexblade is a thing, but hey, the thing about Hexblade Varus, in fact, I was talking to Angie about this just yesterday, because Angie's a Varus player. The stuff like the Hexblade, just for the HP, is really nice. AD carries getting HP is a luxury for most builds. Now, having something like that Hexblade, which was, you know, it was meant to be replaced by something like Fiend Hunter Bolts, right, for AD carries. But having, like, Hexblade gives you a good amount of just ability to brawl and shrug off the first skill shot and then start doing damage. You know, with stuff like the Hexblade giving you just good attack speed too and the movement speed, Varus values everything it gives him. Ultimate cooldown reduction, of course, big too. Assume not able to hop over those minions and get the W on target. Ends up exploding in melee range instead. Culling. Pulled out in mid lane too. Alec has to back off with the E. Not that it changes that much about that mid lane matchup. Trundle walking down towards the Onivia lane. We'll end up clearing out a ward down in that bot lane pixel. JDG ahead of Guon. Not at a level 11 yet is Guon. But behind an XP a fair amount. Well, he's into the mid game now. I mean, this is where Guon gets a fair amount of power. He's going towards the Axie mark. Gives him that ult cooldown. Refresh. The refund on it if you start getting kills and assists. Angie's fault that Duel will be playing Varus jungle. Hey, I could see a world where that works, maybe. Not really sure what his first clear is. Like how care popping that ghost, so Xiaohu can't immediately trade on to him. This is probably a dead Xiaohu. Hoya has the passive on the other side. Ends up stunning up JDG. The egg goes down. Uses the summoner. Xiaohu's coming down. This should still be a dead Hoya. He's going to try and teleport away. Is the pillar there? They have to go in for... They don't quite get the sweep. It's just about escape in time. Hoya gets out, teleports towards his Nexus turret. It ends up being, you know, turret taken in top lane and in bot lane. But the inner turret will go down in favor of NIP. Mid lane does fall, though, because Weibo take that. So it's a 2-for-2 turret trade around the map. NIP taking 2 top lane towers. Weibo arguably taking the 2 better ones in mid lane outer. And then the bot lane outer as well. Herald getting good value there. Elk, does he have E up? He could be in trouble here. Flashes early. Doesn't get hit by the water blade, though. And Elk will live. Assume going quite low. Hank on the other side. Burst down by Assume. That was potentially a very scary fight there for Weibo. But Guon doesn't land the water blade. Elk ends up using his flash and his E just about in time to escape the Kiana. I thought that was instant death for Elk. Not so. Okay, we've got a rapid fire cannon coming in from Assume. Really wants the extended range with the Milio. We saw a lot of this on Milio release. We saw Lucian Milio, but that was when he was going for the Blood Song, and like it was Imperial Mandate Milio. And so basically you'd have Milio put down the Cozy Campfire. You'd have the Blood Song from the support item of Lucian. You'd have rapid fire cannon and Milio, and you'd have like this million range auto attack kind of one-shotting people. Hang on, the Hank doesn't have summoners, and he's been walled into the play. He's now melee range. Hoya's walls have been very good on this Onivia. Gets another one down, and the Hank, we were saying, he hasn't really been the solve all for Weibo, and we see that again here. He's caught out on the map. He has been making, I mean, it is what it is. He's been making rookie errors. He is a rookie player. Playing support in the top level, especially against teams like NIP, which are very creative about the way that they approach the map. Very difficult thing to do. Taking going to walk up. Some damage onto Care. Doesn't land the Q though. Stacks remain unpopped. Axiom completed for Guon. His ultimate's back up now. Dragon in 20 seconds. If Weibo get this dragon, they are very happy. NIP, they're within touching distance, though. They have the power to fight this. Guon, particularly, I want to see what he does with his Flash ultimate. You know, Flash Kiana combos are a scary thing. Elk at the 2 items on the other side, though. Every time you mention Weibo. You do talk about, you know, the jungle support and the change of support, but Elk has been the rock for them. Go on, goes, takes a chomp there, actually. Needs to find a camp to heal up. There's nothing for him to heal off of. All the camps are down. Guon needs to be careful with that. Starting the fight at 2/3 HP because of that Triforce chomp from Trundle. Not very nice there, actually. Guon hit by an Ezreal cube. Now at half HP. Has to get healed by the Milio. The Hank getting some poke in care. Going on to the Hank, though. Elk jumps over the wall. The wall from Onivia pretty strong there. Dragon down at half HP. The culling comes out now. It's not bad, actually. Gets some decent damage onto Elk and JDG, but Elk lands a Q on the other side. We're going into a smite fight. It goes down to the Kiana. Xiaohu gets an insane amount of damage, though, onto the Onivia, who is rooted up in place by the Varus. It's a 1 for Dragon trade right now. Weibo lose the objective, but get the kill. Zerka walking up, but can't really do much more than, you know, wave his bow menacingly. He does have 2 items with the Dusk and Dawn. He's pretty scary there. Not able to get the smite onto the Scuttle Crab as Guon. JJ will force him off of it. Oh, wow. They really think they can go Baron. They really think they can go Baron. Okay. Well, Kiana is in the area. Do they spot this happening? They're walking over as a 4-man unit. Elk is around with that 2-item Ezreal. Vision cleared. Dragon, I mean, Baron is really low here. It's getting really low. Bjorn's going to have to go for the seal. You have to get there pretty quickly, son. Get over the wall. Is it the Baron steal? No, can't get there in time. He goes too late. Xiaohu gets the sweep. The Baron's already gone. The fight is going pretty well for Weibo too. The Varus ult missing. A bold play from Weibo. The spell flux from Care gets the bounce over them. Zerka dies. Important flash used by the Rise there to get another Baron buff off the table. Close to killing Care potentially. Not the case there. NIP, I think Guon could have gotten into that pit earlier. I think Guon makes the mistake in trying to go the long way around. He had flash. You have to go for the steal there, surely. Giving up a Baron buff that early into the game is very problematic. So now Weibo can get a ton of gold off the back of it. See, look here. Guon goes the long way around. He has flash. They don't have vision on the HP. I mean, it's very hard for someone to do that, but I do wonder whether Guon should have just looked for the flash steal. Ends up getting pushed out of the fight anyway. Now we're back into live. See that the push has come in from Weibo. Got good crystalline procs to use. Xiaohu walled under turret as he goes down. The thing is, I see the point there, Crown Stealer, in terms of, you know, NIP showed that they were retreating from Baron. They weren't that far, though. They did manage to get there. I just think that Weibo ended up having a lot more Baron damage than NIP expected. Oh, this is what happened in the picture-in-picture. Oh, the Trundle died. Right, okay, that's important, because that's another Baron buff. God, it's only the Ezreal and Karma that have the Baron buff now, although Kiana died on the other side. Okay, so we missed an entire fight during the replay. Good, good. Love it when we miss important things in replays. There's only 2 Baron buffs. 1,000 gold disadvantage from Weibo in the power play. Weibo, you can't be losing your Trundle on the Raptors like that. The Hank gets exploded. Great combo from Guon. Now the Hank once again walking up to contest vision, but just doesn't quite understand how unsafe he is. Varus ult missing. Look, I've not been too accurate with them, actually. The Baron buff's going to be a net negative for Weibo. The Azir turret was put down in mid lane to give them some pressure. Just a little bit of lazy over pushing. Gosh, I mean, the Hank dying like this has really cut them off at points. You know, it does have the culling, doesn't want to pull that through. Dragon up in 2 minutes time. Hang on, Xiaohu looking for a sweep. Potentially turret goes down. Xiaohu can't quite find the angle. Not in time. If you're enjoying what you're listening to, please think about dropping a like, and follow, and subscribe. It does make a difference, folks. Go on. Kill it off. Yeah, pinched between the wall and the way that Trundle can tend to do. 3 items now from going as the Serpent's Fang. Definitely helping against the Karma shields. Assume has himself Serpent's Fang. Hang on, they've got double Serpent's Fang. Okay, that's a bit overkill now. You don't both need Serpent's Fang. It's like, oh, one of us is going to have to go home and get changed. What do you mean we're wearing the same shirt, you know? Hang on, JJ flashing away because the wall was threatening there from Hoya. Xiaohu pushing in top side. I mean, NIP do have the gold lead. They got positioning around Dragon. I thought Weibo would get so much more from that Baron. And they just didn't. Just didn't end up getting enough. Ezreal has the healing shoes. He's got the gluttonous greaves. He's actually got himself enough assists, I think, to make the most. Well, it's you need to get, I think, 5 kill participation to get up to the 10% Omnivamp, but I think he has that now at this point. He's got the 3 items on top of that, the Triforce, the Shojin, and the Muramana. Hey, Mecha, good to see you. Hank Platinum? No, it's Hank Propane and Propane-related accessories. The Hank Hill. Okay, walking over. Not going to get hit by the Varasalt, though. That's not a great ultimate from Guon, but it does still get the stun onto JJ. Pulls out the Subjugate, and it will just about save his life. Good damage here from Zerkia. Stuck in that brush goes Golden. The last E from Hoya, pretty big damage there. Dragon is alive. JJ needs to back right now. Care probably also needs to get himself some healing. Does get some healing from the Milio. Bit of damage back onto him from the Karma. We'll soak that up with his shoes. Teleport behind them from the Onivia. Now they were going to see this. The Rune Prism onto the Hanku was once again left out in one of the worst scenarios. The E comes through the wall. Not great from Mohin. He has to flash back into position. Xiaohu goes for the Emperor's Divide and finds good damage. Assume goes low. That play may have just won Weibo the Dragon, and indeed it will. That's going to be another set of kills. 3 kills on the board now. Xiaohu makes his mark. Gosh, I thought that NIP had found a bunch of winning scenarios there, particularly when they were so close to killing JJ. I wonder whether Guon's ultimate could have been better in the last scenario. I think he was just focused on using it as disengage, but I think there was a point where they could have used it better. I think that, you know, they're so close to killing JJ, ends up surviving. And now Weibo will turn this dragon into map pressure again. They will get themselves the gold advantage back, and they have Soul Point now. Weibo in the advantage, a team which, as we said, struggling recently in this split. Not really found themselves good amounts of results. And Xiaohu gets a great Empress Divide. Great Empress Divide. Forces out a bunch of defensive abilities. Just about manages to get that slide onto the soldier he left earlier. Gets the 2-man Empress Divide as everyone else manages to either flash or dash to safety. Xiaohu makes the difference there, though. We're back into live. Xiaohu having that Zhonya is going to make it much harder to punish him. Good damage onto Assume there from Elk. Didn't quite tag that last Q. Would have taken him down below half HP at that point. Can go and use it all on a Onivia wall? Yes, he can. You can also use it on the Azir and the Trundle. We haven't really seen the Onivia Kiana combo in this game. I think that would have been very important, actually, a number of these points. In fact, I wonder whether they should have been using that more, actually. As we were saying, you know, the last ultimate from Guon felt like it was a bit impotent. Didn't really do that much, really. Next one's got to be better. Ezreal goes wide. JJ uses that pillar. Soon jumping forwards. Guon goes into Grass Blade. It's not that hard for Guon to get one target importantly down. Now, he is a strong Kiana. He doesn't have percent armor pen, but he does have a whole lot of lethality. He does need a Cyrildas at this point. I understand the Edge of Night. I think the Cyrildas was more necessary, though. And now, because you've doubled up on the Serpent's Fang for 2 members on your team, you're getting diminishing returns out of that item. Both Enchanters starting to scale very well into the game now. Malignance from Hoya's second, just going towards the Zhonya's third. The Malignance gives you a good amount of extra mana to work with, gives you significant amount of M-Pen as well. And Guon on the flank doesn't have flash for this play. He's not warded out. He is on a big flank, though. He's going to get spotted. Oh, it's pretty close. They think he's somewhere. Guon finds out the Hank. There you go. He was hiding in the shadows. That one, I think the Hank can be forgiven for a little bit. Guon gets some Axiom Arc value immediately off of that. With his ultimate still on cooldown there, of course. Guon, great pick from him. Great vision play. A very, very creative, aggressive player. What we've come to know. Guon as the ultimate finally hits from Zerka, but the Breath of Life rather, ends up cleansing away the CC. Xiaohu, good extra damage there from the soldiers in the queue. Edge of Night's a great item for AD Assassins, don't blame at all. The problem is there's just so many things which blow that spell shield for free in this game. It's very easy for Varus to take it off. Very easy for Karma with an ult Q to take it off too. Now Azir is pretty much always able to get it with a Q too. I just feel like the Cyrildas means that you can actually damage. You can probably one-shot JJ at that point. Guon is now incredibly fed. 3k to the advantage. We did say that his early gold lead was, or rather the early jungle lead for JJ was a big problem for Guon, but Weibo's mid-game wasn't good enough to stamp out the Qiyana. So now Guon has managed to really get himself very much back into the driver's seat. So frustrating watching Weibo play. Look, I think a lot of the deaths that they've had have been around looking for vision as they set up on a new part of the map, and a lot of that comes from the Hank. And, you know, it's sad to see that because, you know, the Hank is a new player to Weibo, but this is the nature of messing around with support swaps midway through the season. I think it was a mistake to get rid of Erha. I think it was probably a mistake still to bring in the Hank, but we don't know what's happening in the team. Bring up a new support in a situation like that, very difficult. Baron started by NIP. They're taking it fairly quickly, but Ghoul's taking a lot of damage from this. Teleport out of Vizier. I think they'll be happy just with the Summoner. You know, a lot of the time, Barons are started in pro play just to get a teleport out of someone. And it makes sense here. You know, Xiaohu is very strong on the Azir. Had a decent game, Xiaohu. You know, this game's not on him if it goes south for Weibo. Puts up the tower for Azir. Dragon up in 30 seconds. That's why he wants to do that. Guon on the flank again. 5-man group. Zucker missing the ultimate, but it's a flash away from the Onivia. Walking back over now. Does Guon get himself the ultimate? And there goes into the grass blade. Goes in and tries to get the damage down. Xiaohu goes gold, and the Realm Warp used to give vision over the wall. Xiaohu flashing away. Guon fairly low. The fruit just used that. Xiaohu very low. No teleport, no flash. He'll have to recall now. He does have his ultimate. He can get back in time, I think, for the Dragon Contest. Ezreal, that's important there. Extra damage onto NIP. You can see again that they're at Weibo struggling with the vision control a little bit. The Dragon now started in earnest. Going down, Hoya has walls, has his ultimate. No, Varus is back up again now, actually. Call me a liar. Where is that ultimate? Goes through. Qiyana gets it. No soul for Weibo. Varus ultimate. Not very useful again because this is traded for the Milio ult. It's drawn, kind of knows his role in these team fights. It's just cleanse the Varus ult. Make sure the CC doesn't land. Very close to a quick pick from Guon. But the thing is, though, now, yeah, this is very similar like the last time. It's going to be quite a quick Baron start on the other side. NIP not in position to contest this. Rise will be pushing up bot lane instead. It's a very quick Baron. Weibo will trade Dragon for Baron. They would have liked the soul, but hey, they'll take the Baron as a consolation prize. No one dies on the retreat this time either. Rise pushing up that bot lane. The same sequence. Okay, but NIP weren't looking to contest this time, and I think they knew that they couldn't give up the Dragon. So they realized, okay, well, we just got to do this now, right? Big wave shoved in towards bot lane. Big wave Blastoise. Infinity Edge for Assume. Endless Hunger for Elk. So both AD carries getting up to very important items. Endless Hunger, one of the best items in the game on the Ezreal. Gives you a ton of ability to go very, very ham. No Zhonya's in for Hoya just yet. I actually think Hoya's been playing pretty well individually. He's not been getting a lot of gold. But I think that, you know, if he gets towards the Zhonyas, he has most of the items he needs. Zerka has the Zhonyas on the other side. Guon finds that JDG here. He might just jump onto him. He does. Doesn't have, again, he doesn't have the Cyrildas yet. I think that's now a problem for playing against the Trundle. Wonder what he's going to go last, actually. I guess he could go for, I mean, Voltaic is a really good item on this patch. I'm just not sure. It's better as a first item, you know? I would have thought that Cyrildas is just way more valuable, but now you've got stuff like the Zhonyas with well, Zhonya's on 2 solo laners for 50 armor apiece. Deadman's onto JJ. You would have thought that eventually the Cyrildas would just get more value. Wonder if he prefers the utility from something else, though. Guon's side, no, I do wonder whether he should sell the Serpent's Fang as well at some point. But he's the first person into the play. I just wonder because Assume has that Serpent's Fang. I just don't like them doubling up. I don't like them doubling up on that. Weibo pushing him with the mid wave and bot wave now. Is air turret used on mid lane inner turret. Good command post for them. Yeah, going low actually. Strong damage from 3 members onto the Trundle. Takes him down to half HP. I don't like it on Lucian compared to Gorn. That's a fair point. I think it's a cheap item for the Lucian, which helps for him. But yeah, I don't think that Assume had to go for it. I think it was a mistake for the second person to buy it. Typically better, because Gorn is engaging, it's better on him, because he's going to get that Serpent's Fang onto the first target you're trying to kill. Whereas Lucian doesn't necessarily lead the play. It's 2,000 Baron power play from Weibo. They do have strong golden pocket, 3.5k gold lead. This Baron buff isn't going to overlap with the Dragon, though, so they're going to have to set up the map the old-fashioned way with that. Elk looking for the ult over the wall. Only a one-man. Breath of Light traded for the Varus ultimate once again. No surprises there. Guon, good damage onto him from the Ezreal. Ezreal has been doing some work here. Tower is going to get taken down. Elk flies over the wall, procs the W on the tower, kills it. Gold from the Baron, now 2.5k as it ends off. The last empowered recall comes through. NIP, they don't lose their base. They have every inhibitor tower still in position. And they'll consider that, I suppose, a bit of a blessing. There are no super minions for them to clear out. That's an important thing for them. When you're playing around Ryze and Nivea, you've got a decent amount of wave clear. What are the other items we have? Well, there's a death cap for Xiaohu. He has the Proto Belt as well. So Xiaohu at the 4.5 item mark. Going for last item, presumably Banshees or Shadow Flame. In this kind of game, I mean, Shadow Flame does kind of make you Exodia in terms of the actual damage. Hang on, JDG coming down towards bot side. Q will land onto him from draw. Alright, Weibo. One last objective between you and the Nexus. It was quite hard to choose a favorite coming into today's series. Me and NIP had a bad series yesterday, but I think Weibo have really not given us that much to be happy with them for this split. 4 and 8 compared to 5 and 6. Both these teams are middle of the pack teams in Ascend. Oh, Bastion. Yeah, so what? So this is the Bastion Breaker, Sabotage, right? So now when Guon first hits a skill onto a target, it has an extra bit of damage, and if he gets a kill, the next hit on a tower and objective does mega damage. So this is effectively like you kill someone, you hit a turret, and they explode, basically. Guon looking for his combo again, going invisible. Has that Edge of Night still up and available. But again, no percent pen for the Kiana, so he's not going to hit the targets with armor nearly as well. Ezreal goes for the ultimate, does land great damage onto Guon. He hits 3 Qs in a row and Guon's out of the fight. Elk has just taken Guon out of the picture. Redemption will bring a little bit of healing back onto Guon, but he's solo HP. Hoya has to go in for the Zhonya's. I think NIP have messed up their setup. Guon goes in and will get the assassination. Is it enough? Doesn't get the second Q through. Assume will dash backwards and JJ will still catch him. It's not enough from NIP. Weibo win the dragon fight. Guon was taken too low at the start despite the assassination onto Elk. He'd already done the damage. Can he walk over? He's spotted now. Doesn't have the flash. Does have the ability to keep dashing around, but won't be able to chase away. Well, won't be able to get towards that dragon. Guon will have to watch that Mountain Soul go over. The objective setup from NIP just a little too flimsy. Guon hit by too many skill shots from Elk before the start of the fight. I mean, Elk just wins that fight single-handedly. I know he dies midway through it, but the damage he gets onto Guon makes it so hard to play. No, the Ezreal ult goes onto 3 people, ends up hitting the WQ onto Guon, another Q after that point, and suddenly just this Kiana's out of the fight. No, manages to get the culling out of Assume. Assume not having a great game here on the Lucian. Hoya has to go golden, ends up avoiding the Lucian, the Varus ult himself. Someone has to walk up, but they don't have a great tank. If you have to face check an objective like this, you're not in a good spot. No, Guon gets a great one shot. Doesn't manage to get anything beyond that point, though. Assume taken down. Care as well. Hoya can't really stand and fight when you have to be on the retreat so heavily. Baron's going to go over. Mountain Soul and the Baron for Weibo. It has been a slow first game. Guon once again chunked out at the start of the play. Does he go for a flash initiation? I'm not sure if someone is actually back up, but the ultimate there from Guon needs to be big. The pillar used. That's going to be a lot of damage onto Assume, who just gets soloed out on the side. 1v2. Guon has to do it again. Forces out the Zhonya's from Zerka, but it's not enough. The Hank will live this time, and Guon goes down. Weibo just a little better around the objectives. Their composition better with the tank front line. NIP can't face check. NIP, despite being one of our most exciting teams to watch, are far from flawless. Weibo will take them down in game 1, looking to draw even in this in the standings. If they take this series, Weibo will end up taking game 1 largely through the efforts around those objectives, which used to plague them so much. A strong game from Xiaohu, a strong game from Elk. The Hank dying quite a lot, looking for vision, but Weibo on the whole a little better at playing the objectives and force NIP down to a game 1 loss. On to the riff. Let's hit the gyros. Oh, that's a really cool poster. So JJ is the owner of EDG Viego. The EDG Viego skin is JJ's. Someone drew that for him on the sign there. Very cool. Yes, and I believe in NIP proactivity a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, particularly if Guon gets into the game and can start running at people, it's a big win for them. Elk and the Hank doing fine at level 1 though. The 4th shot not able to be used though, but the heal has been used a lot in the bot lane meta to kind of speed people up for the last auto attack. Heal's become kind of a good combat summoner for bot lane just because it allows you to get 1 extra auto attack or avoid 1 extra auto attack whilst also kind of sustaining you as well. As long as you're not full HP and you use the heal, it's just good value. Care, Molten Shield start does have the Q as well though. This is one of the reasons why Annie is so annoying to lane against. Even if you have, you know, a lane where you think you can trade quite hard, she puts on the Molten Shield, and she's actually really good at trading damage back to you with the shield reflecting a bit towards you because, you know, you have thorns on you. Guon, is he going to get spotted here? He's waiting for his E cooldown. Hops over, wasn't spotted. All right, so they knew that that ward was on Raptors. Gets into top river now, goes for a full topside clear. If they flash for a stun, maybe Xiaohu dies here. I don't think they expect this at all. Trying forwards for the double Q. Guon will get the first blood. All right. Great pathing from Guon. Gets himself into mid lane. Xiaohu uses his flash and dies. It's double flash from Guon and Care, though. Big investment. Can Vi do anything about that? No. Vi's already onto their bot side and not really in position to invade. And Vi's not an invading jungler. Now, if you did this against a Nocturne, Nocturne is already in your bot camps and you lose out on 3 camps. Because you're against a Vi can't counter jungle this early into the game. Not really. She's not a very good early jungle fighter. So Guon knew the ward was there, hopped over it, got a play into mid lane. Kill goes over to the Neferi as well. We did say that, no, we trust NIP to be proactive, you know, to get Guon onto the board. Gets himself that scuttle in bot side. JJ will spot out the recall of Guon. Raptor respawn take, maybe? JJ just pinged over on... Well, no, so NIP just pinged out onto it. I don't think that NIP could... Hang on a second. That's a big trade there from Assume. Ow. Yeah, pops the barrier, does Elk. All combat summoners now used in this bot lane between both Weibo and NIP. JJ gets himself his full clear, ends up getting the top scuttle, so no camps taken away from him. Raptor respawn in for Guon. He's got himself that pickaxe first. If you've got the pickaxe, it means you're not going Hubris first. That's the big thing about this build. Might be going Shojin first then. That's the polymorph onto the Hank. Does have to use that flash. Scary there. Maybe the Hank thought that the aggro would get taken by Jaw or Assume. Not the case there. Hang on, can you hop over that? Well, he can. Damn, Guon is really good at knowing what he can do in these different bits of vision over the wall. Neferi, a very mobile champion, can reset tower aggro here too. If they get the flash, this guy might just die. Has to back off, so Guon nothing for this one. Xiaohu wise to their tricks at this point. Is behind an amount of CS. You'll notice between stuff like the Rise Kiana and the Annie Neferi, NIP kind of going back to last summer's meta, where we saw this a lot with Tarzan and Kanavi. And of course with JDG as well, between Scout and Shun, where you'd have heavy CC mid laner, assassin jungler. Stuff like Zed, Kiana, Neferi. The CC from mid lane means that every time, you know, Annie's loaded up the stun, you have to play so respectfully. Guon's been playing around that vision very well. Little Ant's missing. JJ is a level up here. I'm actually not sure this works out very well for Guon. Oh, but the Q misses from JJ. That actually could have been a kill onto Guon. Had no flash. If that Q lands and it goes into the grab field, Guon maybe dies there. So a bad missed Q there from JJ. Is up a decent amount of CS as we were saying, but the Fury does have a camp or two to go to. Hoya has the level up on the Scion and the CS advantage. Will miss the cannon there though. Still up in gold though. Tarzan may have to give up his best Neferi in the LPL if this keeps up. You know who was also really good at Neferi was Shadow. Shadow was insanely good at Neferi. He had like that 20 kill Neferi game, something like that. Or was it 17 kills? He ended up having an insanely good Neferi game back in Split 2 of last year when he was still on FPX. Or was it Split 1? I think it was Split 2 actually. Guwon not quite at level 6 just yet. Oh, well, they could try and dive, because again, you can reset the tower aggro. Whereas the second Q goes wide. Guwon can press that W, does that now to reset aggro. Hoya can now take it himself. What have they just done? What have they just done? That is spaghettis everywhere. NIP get double killed in the dive. You meant to reset the aggro, not just immediately. I think the dogs ended up taking aggro again. I think Guwon's dogs ended up betraying him. I think they ended up taking back aggro. Oh god, that's bad. You've just given up a ton of gold to the front line. And you've lost to Summoner and Hoya's Flash as well. I think the dogs ended up taking aggro. You just straight up auto-attacked him? Well, that's a huge mistake then. Kill in the bot lane. Assumed Elk might take one back but forced the flash out instead. Doesn't have enough mana for his ultimate just yet. He's out of mana for his ult. Flashes for the fourth shot though. Auto-attacks don't need mana. Hoya's auto-attack got cancelled by the Scion Q. Ah, right. Well, we'll watch out this again. So, Guwon knows he can reset aggro. Q goes here, and he's very impatient with his second Q. And then goes for this. No, he takes aggro already. You'll notice he already takes aggro. He took aggro before he actually auto-attacked that. I must have been the bleed from the Q. Let me watch that. I'm going to watch that again very slowly. Let's have a look. Yeah, he already takes aggro from... It's the dogs. No, it's the dogs. He doesn't auto-attack. It's the dogs which get it. The bleed had already timed out. Guwon takes aggro from the dogs. Just watching it slowly, it is the dogs. Gosh, that is very aggravating for him. Vi goes for the ult on to assume he doesn't have summoners. Good kills from Weibo. And NIP, this early game needed to be good for them. And it almost was. Almost. But things are starting to come into a lot more murky waters now. No, Hoya doesn't have the lead in top lane. That lead's been thrown now by Guwon and Hoya's poor dive onto Zuka. Bot lane's gone in favor of Elk. Yeah, guys, if you go onto the YouTube feed, you can scroll back, or if you're a sub on Twitch, you can scroll back in the video. Go and watch back that dive. Guwon's bleed had timed out. He doesn't auto-attack him. The aggro comes before that. He goes for the auto-attack because he has aggro. It's the dogs which end up taking it. The dogs betray him. Dragon taken by NIP. So Weibo in a pretty decent spot now. Okay, I'm gonna have to video edit that clip because that is just dog. That's the pack betraying Guwon. That is depressing as hell for him. NIP can work late game fights. They can do. They can do. But my worry is if Sion starts locking out, you know, the Annie, it really comes onto really good flank angles from the side of NIP to make things work, right? But, you know, JDG and Zuka are going to be really disruptive. You know, the Bard ult's going to be great too. I'm just worried that NIP are going to get kind of locked out of the team fights. I'm quite worried for them. I think his brain betrayed him. He thought that Hoya could maybe take aggro again. Guwon does steal one of those. So it'll be 2 for 1 all in all. Care not getting into the play himself just yet. Grab field down. Care does have flash if he wants to go for a big play, but he's out of range for the stun just now. I'm tad worried about the access to Elk's Jhin as well. That's why it has to come from a good angle, right? Because if Sion just stands in front of Elk, then, you know, how do you reach him? You need to have Gwen on a really good angle, W popped, throwing needles across the back line, Guwon doing a similar thing. It's really hard to consistently do that, and given that NIP have not been great at objective setups the last day or two, that's not looking wonderful for them. Hoya's on his way towards his first item. Kanik Rooken in for Zuka already. Voltaic in for Guon. Ah, that's it, the Voltaic. I forgot to build out of that nowadays. I say as nowadays. Voltaic, for those of you that don't know, got a lot of changes alongside a lot of other items on this new patch. 26.9. So what Voltaic does now is effectively it's an energized auto attack like a static shiv or a fire cannon, but it will proc on your abilities. And when you get your auto attack versus a champion, you end up getting an extra 15 lethality for the next few seconds, and you also do some current HP. So your burst is really, really good. It's kind of like an Eclipse proc, but then in terms of damage, but then also gives you the extra stats as well. Only gives you 10 base lethality, so that's like a collector. Hang on, Care pops the Molten Shield. Gosh, that's going to be the grab field onto it too. The Q's missed time from the Hank. Hard to time it, does force the flash out of Care. It's important to take that flash. You know, Anti-Flash, one of the most important summoners on the map. And that's the changes right there. Basically, it's cheaper, the lethality is less, but then when you hit someone, you actually get more overall. So you end up getting 25 lethality from a single item for a limited amount of time in combat when you actually start hitting people. Chaos Storm goes down onto Cap. Tibber's on the other side, quite effective. JJ, doesn't really want to fly into turret here. Not with the stun loaded up. Go on around the corner. Both junglers feeling like mid lane is the source of the next bit of action. And jump forwards in bot lane. Elka's Polymorph doesn't have the flash himself. Now the W misses from Assume, and that could lead to his death. Jhin does have the ultimate available. Pops it now. The curtain call comes out. Shot onto draw. Here comes JJ. This is going to be a bit of a problem. W flies through onto him. Fourth shot onto draw. It'll be a double kill. The bot lane of NIP has been brought low in the last week or two. From perhaps our best bot lane in the LPL to one that is struggling to find consistency. Assume and Draw have not had the impact in this week that they have done for the rest of the split, which is devastating for NIP. You know, that was where they got so much of their value as a team. Now Elk walks up, tries to put down a ward. Hank does get a good Q. He does get a good Q. That ends up putting Assume into a very difficult spot. And JJ comes down on good timing. No cleanse, of course, and Assume to get out of that bar Q. And at this point, it's just, you see Vi turn around the corner and you think it's just over. It's just over. JJ picks up both. Sorry, Elk actually ends up picking it weirdly. It was, oh, with the Deathfire Touch, of course it was. Yep, of course, I forgot to talk about that. I talked about it in the last few days, but basically, Deathfire Touch Jhin gets so much AD from his passive that Deathfire Touch does a lot more than it does for most champions in the game. And he goes lethality, so the burn, which does adaptive force damage, well, it'll do extra damage because the lethality applies to it as well. So something like a first item Ghostblade does really good work with the Deathfire Touch build. NIP, you know, again, they're an exciting team to watch. You do credit them for innovative styles of play. Bardol forced in there. JJ coming around the corner. Doesn't lead to anything. JJ not quite in range. Didn't have the ultimate as well. So a bit of a wasted ult there from the Hank. Again, the Hank has not been a solve all. I think that JJ has been very impactful today, and perhaps that is related to the support swap. Because I think that JJ was not looking very good with Hung. He looked good with her, and he's looked good with the Hank. Perhaps that has something to do with the changes. Dragon is up now. Good damage from Assume, but it's good damage back, actually. Assume jumping forwards, has the wild growth. Can't finish off. The Jhin, the W lands. The ultimate coming through as well. The curtain call fires 2 shots. Third one comes through. Sorry, that was the fourth one, rather. Even trade, actually, between our bot lane duos. Took an ultimate or two from both sides. Gorn starting the Dragon now. Can't blame Assume and Draw for looking for those angles. That's how they got so much of their success earlier in the split. Shahu walking over does have the Chaos Storm. Can flash for a stun. That's quite dangerous, Shahu. You've got to be careful. Go on, might one-shot you hit. Got to be really careful there. Chaos Storm goes down. Not bad damage onto the Neferi. Just keeping them honest, I suppose. It's quite worried for him there, though. Thought he would actually be in a bit of trouble. Care didn't have the flash. And JJ looking for that Q. Go on, tries to check it. Goes straight into the play, though. How much health has he got left? Half health by Care. Was maybe expecting the Annie to be a bit further away. Not the case. Dragon stacking doesn't suck. That's true. That's true. NIP do have the 2 early dragons now. Although they are at an early deficit, which worries me. Now, these are the fights before we get proper 5v5s. And with the Scion being ahead of the game, that could be an issue. That's an ultimate onto the tower. Hank struggling to get value. He actually might get ran down here. Here comes the Neferi. The ultimate coming through from the Vi, though. And Gorn has to flash out. Both junglers misjudging their last aggressive play. Ends up being a flash away from Guon. Doesn't even get the summoners out of the other side, actually. Does get the ultimate out of JDG, so it's not completely without cooldown spent on the other side. Sad that Weibo didn't fight that after NIP had a lot of low health players. I think they were worried about, you know, the Chaos Storm causing a ton of issues, particularly with the upgraded Merc Treads. You can't burst out the Victor particularly easily because you can just shrug off the CC, then walk away, and then you're stuck in the Chaos Storm. The Hank has definitely had to magical journey backwards a lot in the last minute or two. JJ doesn't have his ultimate, use that in that bot lane play. Pick him Xiao, he has the Blackfire Torch now, so he's pretty strong. Scuttle Crab has been taken. Chaos Storm goes down. That's not bad damage from the Curtain Call, and the stun comes through. Assume has misjudged it once again. Fourth shot, not in range for anyone there. And Assume has just not had the impact he wanted to this week. Yeah, NIP. The two things that we talked about this team in terms of identity for this split was Guon, aggressive, volatile, but creative. And bot lane, perhaps the best 2v2 bot lane in the league, maybe besides JackeyLove and Feng Yue. And I think that Guon has been held to account a lot more in his aggressive pathing recently. In the Anyone's Legend series beside, he actually did very well versus Tarzan. However, both yesterday and today, he struggled. Very good Q there from the Hank. We said he's had a mixed game, but that was a good Q from him, just turning off our point very quickly there. But then bot lane, I just don't think it's been getting the value in the 2v2. I think Assume and Draw have been either banned out or focused on very hard, or just bluntly not working that well in the 2v2. I mean, it's one thing to lose to, you know, Viper and On, or JackeyLove and Feng Yue, something like that. Of course, they did quite well versus Gala and Vampire on JDG. I would say they were the better bot lane, actually, but changes things a little bit. Saw that. Oh, he had to flash away from topside. That's why he has no flash. We didn't see that on camera. Very close to killing him. The Care Bear very nearly claiming another life. NIP. So they're 2 dragons up. 2 dragons up. Gold down. Are they going to be able to consistently deal with the Victor? Xiaohu's had a pretty strong Victor game so far, and JJ on the Vi has been kind of main character energy. Elk, though, I mean, Elk's Jin is also up there. He's got double lethality items. There's no heavy tank on the side of NIP. The Deathfire Touch, because of that, is going to be a huge problem. You know, it hits you with a skill, and you're going to lose about an extra 10% of your HP just from the burn, because it does physical damage, and the lethality helps him with that. And because Jin just gets so much random AD, he does just a ton of damage. This is the build from Season 6, Odd, where you would just kind of... Well, I mean, not the collector, but, you know, the lethality. Hang on, W's going to land on target. The ultimate comes up. That is a Chaos Storm. Yes, that hurts. See that damage there? Forces the retreat very quickly. Couple of ultimates thrown out. Elk, my dude, that's not where you want to be. He blast goes into the enemy team. Good damage onto him. Assume can jump over the wall, and Elk just... You can't path like that. Dies for free. Kill goes over to Assume. Ends up halving the gold lead between him and Assume. That is lazy, Elk. That is poor. That is such a freebie. Didn't have to be that at all. Just take the safe way back towards mid. Took the blast cone and ended up into the heart of the enemy team. Summoners didn't save him. Oh gosh, that's a mistake from him. It's more than half the gold lead. I mean, Assume has now gone down from 1.1k down to only 300. It's cut it into a third. Dragon is up now. The Hank's now in a bad position. He's going to get polymorph. He'll have a magical journey, but he loses half his HP. JJ over the wall. Elk's back on the board. Doesn't have himself rapid fire cannon yet. Of course, that'll be his third item. But Assume is very happy now. Building towards his armor pen item third. Has 2 items, the core items of Kraken Slayer, Fiend Hunter on the Yunara so far. Dragon started. Teleport in from Scion. Now, does this change anything? The Scion being here, and Scion being a really annoying frontline piece for NIP to deal with, especially with double AP solo laners. Yeah, they can't deal with Scion there. Now, they have gotten gold over towards Hoya. Scion doesn't get anything with that play. Trying to force Care to teleport, and they do. So it will be ult for teleport. No one's answering the top lane push from Gwen right now, though. Guys, someone's got to do something about that, actually. I really like, by the way, that Hextech Dragons specifically have a sponsor in LPL. I think that's a cool thing, by the way. I know that people complain about sponsors a lot, but having a specific sponsor for each dragon, I think is actually really cool. It's like Sky Motor Hextech dragons, so it's like all tech related. That's cool. Like I said, I think though we should have like the Monster Energy like rift, like Chemtech rift. Looks very similar to it. Defending this top lane, this mid lane turret. 2 plates were taken on the top lane and a wave was lost. The wave, I mean, the wave being lost in the tower plate and the tower itself, so then the gold lead for Weber has dipped below 1,000 now. And Hoya takes back the individual gold lead in the top lane matchup. Flash from Draw to make sure he doesn't get hit by Bard ultimate. Important there. Weibo's team fight should be stronger at this point. I mean, just because they have a Scion into AA AP solo lanes. Yeah. So he's built magic resist. The Scion is going to be a pain in the butt. A real pain in the butt. I think he should go towards like a Zeke second as well. Just have more ultimate uptime. Oh, he might go towards Jack Show at second, actually. He's got the Bramble Vest. I like how he hasn't gone for the Unending Despair. One of the problems with a lot of tank players that they feel they need to itemize towards wave clear when they already have enough wave clear in their kit. So stuff like the Ornn and Scion kits are very good at wave clearing. You don't need more wave clear. You're fine at that point. All you need is to be obscenely tanky. Herald into mid lane turret. 1 auto attack will take it after this point too. They don't actually manage to walk up and get it, but I think the Grublings will do enough. Elk doesn't have the summon as the Wild Growth doesn't get the knockup. That's a mistime from Draw. They end up forcing a lot of plays onto it. Hoya fighting off against Zucker, has the Nash's tooth, but gets hit by the Q by the Vi, and that'll be the end of it. Q into Q. And Hoya's left with a tear in his eye. 2-item Gwen can't outplay. That sucks for him. The Bramble Vest also really hurting, even though it's an anti-AD item. Does hurt against the healing of the Gwen. So Hoya not as able to outplay that one. Draw doesn't have the flash this time. JJ's over the wall, uses the Q. W from the Jin. Dead. Draw. NIP are not moving around the map very effectively right now. Feels like they've been caught out in side lanes a number of times in the last few minutes. I think part of that is just the nature of playing against a Scion that is ahead and can ult into plays very quickly. He has a Jack Show now, second item. Zucker has 3 kills. He's had a great game on the Scion. JJ as well, he's been where he's needed to be. You know, a misstep from Elk aside, NIP have not really been finding inroads. We said that NIP probably did need to get an early lead. I don't like the fact that they have so much of their engage on one champion. When you only have one champion that can engage, it feels like in late game scenarios, you just ward out that one person and you struggle very much to get value out of them. I think there are a couple of cardinal sins of drafting right now. One is having only one person that can do damage on a team. So stuff like the Yunara Lulu with a full tank topside. Or like an Annie Scion. And the Annie doesn't pop off. And then only having one for source of engage also is pretty bad for you. Well, not doing bad damage against the Scion here. It's just, you know, when you've got the Jack Show and the Bramble Vest, it means that you can't do nearly as much, really. Doesn't want to stack up that Q until he knows where the Gwen is headed on that tower. Will head beyond him anyway. Might take the turret. He does take the turret, actually. Scion used the ultimate in that trade. So actually, Hoya not bad from him. Koya has flash. JJ does have his Q. Hoya's going to head down here. I think Hoya dies for the turret now. Has flash. Uses the ultimate. He won't have enough damage to deal with that. They call off the play. Now, that's a surprise. I guess they're afraid of mid lane. Hoya goes for the play. JJ a bit indecisive. That might actually lead to the death of the Scion, but the ult into the Q. There's no W anymore. Hoya will die. What's happening in mid lane on the same side of this? They do have the Bard ultimate, so Weibo safe to wave clear in the 3v4. I thought JJ could have saved a lot of heart palpitations there by just going in a little earlier. Hoya now 0-3. Zucker at 4-0. That is painful for Hoya to watch. You know, that top lane dive from NIP is good. They're going to be ruining that. They've got to be kicking themselves for that. That top lane dive, giving the 2 kills over to Zucker. Guwon just not understanding that his dogs would take aggro for him again. That was disaster. Ninjas not doing any ninja things. They're false advertisement. Hey, well, you know, they got to play around subterfuge, you know. Maybe they'll do a ninja thing at this dragon fight. Who knows? Dragon going low. Care. Trying to play around the shadows here. Good Q there from the Hank. So, yeah, it was that. Cat. Hang on a second. Hoya around the flank now too. Cat still unseen. Can he get himself the unseen engage? No. Control ward went down, so he was seen. Sadly, the ninja tech has failed. Zucker still not really dying here. Only loses a quarter of his HP by full tanking them. Assume steps up. The Bard ultimate not that valuable, and the Hank is going to have to flash away. Is definitely struggled with the squishiness of the Bard. Xiaohu jumped onto as well. The stun misses though. The wild growth doesn't save him in time. The knockup comes through. It's a huge mistake from NIP as Care can't land the stun. Oh gosh, NIP. They'll take back another kill. Ends up being a 3 for 2 overall, but it's in favor of Weibo. Xiaohu got ran down by Hoya under the mid lane turret. Everyone in the mid section of NIP dies though on the other side. Baron now started. You know, the fastest Baron with Xiaohu dead, but they can tank it for forever with the Scion. That should still be Baron going over. So what happened here? Hank cast the ultimate kind of blind into the bush. Not great. Almost dies for the attempt too. And then Xiaohu walks up, gets hit by the slow, and then dodges the stun. Hoya went in to see if he could steal the Baron or at least assassinate someone. Can't do so. Baron will go on to almost every member. Xiaohu, the only person not going to be wearing the Hand of Baron. Guon, if he'd managed to get that kill onto Xiaohu and get the reset, that probably does work itself into a Baron. The problem is that Care couldn't land the stun, and Xiaohu managed to flash away from the play. Very close run stuff. I mean, Assume has 3 items now, 3.5 even, but doesn't feel like it's enough, does it? As a player of the game for this one, I mean, I think that Zucker's had an incredible Scion game. You know, the outplay on the dive was probably the most important thing to happen in this game. JDG a close second though. Top or jungle for Weibo really leading the way in this one. I think their compositions, you know I walked out of game 1 draft thinking, oh, they had the worst composition, but I think they proved me wrong because they could approach those objectives so much better. I think in both games, they've had better composition for sitting on the objective. They've had more frontline than NIP, who've been locking in very squishy compositions. The LPL as a whole have been locking in very squishy compositions recently. And you can see the issue with that when you start falling behind. Guon is spotted out. The Hank flies into him, does have the Q, doesn't get the stun. The flash away from the Jin W is needed. Zucker is very tanky, so even though he's tanking up 3 people, doesn't really care. Goes below half HP. Goes under a third HP, has the Mikhails onto him, another W shield. This Scion is too tanky, man. Hoya now starts to get the needlework through. That's a dead Xiaohu. This is a good angle from the Gwen. Flash for the magical journey. Good play from them. Hoya manages to find that angle. NIP get themselves, it feels like their first inroad for like the last 10 minutes or so. Xiaohu goes down. This is against the Baron buff too. Weibo would have loved to be pushing in across the board. Not quite able to do so. The Zucker loses the flash. Xiaohu loses his life. Didn't have the flash to spend in that last play. No, the Hank flying onto Guon, forcing off that flash. Pretty good. Bard ultimate, not bad to save Zucker some time there. And then this just feels like an overcommit. They don't quite have the vision to commit to this position. You know, I think at that point, you just have to accept that you're not in the right place. Hoya gets to hop over the wall. Xiaohu doesn't have the flash. You should have retreated from this position. You didn't have enough HP left on your front line to hold position there. Boots upgrade is a bait on Nefiri. I think for a lot of AD assassins, the boots upgrade doesn't feel great. I agree with you. On stuff like Talon, you kind of want it for the roaming, but stuff like Zed doesn't feel great. On Nefiri as well, it can be a bit of a difficult issue. Here comes Ninja Care. Is he spotted there? Yeah, it looks like he is. Oh, hang on. No, it's not actually. Hang on. Care goes onto the Hank, who doesn't go down, though. Goes low. They have to commit another flash. That's a pretty good wild growth. They get Hoya into melee range. Hoya has had to be under the boot of Weibo for a grand majority of this game, but he's perhaps delivering them to the late game promised land. The wild growth onto the Gwen has been a huge factor in these last few fights. Weibo have over-pushed and have been torn apart by the solo laners of NIP. Hoya and Cat getting great value out of the last couple of fights of the game. Dragon started. That'll be sole point for them. It's a good win for NIP. Can they force a third game off of that? It feels like Weibo just over pushing in the last couple of games. I mean, part of it has been just from overall vision control. The Hank died a lot last game around similar situations. They actually do spot care here. Walk upwards. Hank is okay to tank a little bit here. And what happens after this? I guess they just all end up... I wonder if the Hank should have been left to die. I wonder if you just take the Hex Gate out on the other side of it. I wonder if you just take the Hex Gate out and try and reposition. I think they all in for a fight where the Hank was always going to die. Feels like a mistake to me. The ninjas also aren't in pajamas. Well, maybe they sleep in them. If they sleep in these uniforms, do they count as pajamas? Checkmate. Oh, God. Guon has the Neferi and the Death Stance. This is a scary Neferi. Even though he's, you know, a decent amount of gold behind JJ, who does have a ton of utility himself with the GA and the Black Cleaver Shred and the Thunder Sky healing. He's got a lot of secondary value. But now the question is, can you actually stop Hoya from just doing horrible things to your team? Hang on, JJ is spotted there. No! Oh, God. Care uses the flash and misses the stun onto JJ. Yeah, the Care Bear used to be a derogatory term back in like 2023. He's had mixed results on it this time. The Hank Buddy, you should not be walking up like that. Come on, dude. That's way too easy a kill to give over. Guon snaps that one up despite Care not able to land that stun earlier. Very easy to pick up a kill onto the Hank. He's definitely not had an easy debut here on Weibo. Hoya has teleport at the ready. Will be getting a death cap on the next back. And at that point, yeah, Gwen might just be able to carry the game alone. Hey, thanks for the follow there. Radagasti, appreciate you. And if anyone else is lurking around and wants to drop a follow, a like, subscribes, prime subs, things like that, it does make a huge difference. For those of you that don't know, there's no official LPL broadcast in the English language anymore, so I've kind of taken it upon myself in the last 2.5 years to cast things on my channel here. You will find literally thousands of games cast on the Nymaera channel here, alongside my brother, Initialise. We do this as a... this is our job now. You know, we are very fortunate to have a lot of very supportive people in chat. You actually have paid our rent. This is very fortunate. It's very fortunate that we can actually make this a job for ourselves. Weibo walking up into the midsection of the map, wanting to push out mid lane. 2k up, our Weibo. We thought the Scion might be able to turn the tables a little bit, but I think with all the gold in Gwen's pockets now, perhaps a little bit different. What is happening there? Guon presses the W. Not bad AoE damage. The Chaos Storm's doing quite a lot in the backline. Guon goes low. The Hank goes low first, though. Ends up being a one for none. Once again, the Bard is the person who's kind of taken apart at the seams. Scion trying to get that last shot in. Just short of the fourth shot, but it won't matter. A flash forward from JJ. Double down. Scion does end up following that play, and with 2 dead, I think they can walk towards the Baron. There's no extra contest really available for NIP. They've used a lot of their big ultimates, and suddenly Weibo turn the fight. No, the Hank does go down, but the extended follow-up is so huge. I mean, the Xiao, who had the death cap himself, the burn from the Deathfire Touch and the Chaos Storm was just a step too far for NIP. They stayed too long. Now Guon has to look for a steal. It has to be a Baron steal. It will be a flip. 3, 2, 1. Taken by Weibo. No steal. NIP will not be able to get themselves that. And now they'll have the Baron buff in time for the dragon fight in a minute. They can recall, push out the map, and then get themselves ready for the dragon fight. NIP, big loss from them. It was a bit of a scary flip. It always is a little bit when you know the enemy jungle can come in. That is an incredible Q cancel from JJ. Cancels out the Neferi ultimate and gets Guon to low HP. If he'd managed to jump forwards and get a Q on target, Guon does take half the HP off of one of the carries. Great Vyq. Incredible Vyq. JJ has been the better jungler today. You know, the Trundle in game 1 was incredibly pivotal. Not that the Kiana wasn't good, but I think JJ is often overlooked in LPL conversations around jungle because of Weibo's failing as a team. I think JJ has been very stalwart for Weibo, despite their failures. He's 5-0-4 on the Vi. He has been incredible in this game too. Game-changing. We'll stop the recall here from Hoya, actually. Does he know he spotted the stop the recall there? He actually doesn't. He actually doesn't realize it. Guys? 10 seconds till Dragon. Teleport in from Sion, who cleared out that top lane. Will not have ultimate for this fight. He wanted to stop that wave being pushed in. Hoya will now teleport into mid lane as well. Has the death cap. How much damage can someone like Elk's Jhin do? Needs to be careful here. Doesn't have the ultimate to stop it. Joe, no, he's gone too low. Oh, no, he's gone down. The jungler off the board from NIP. 1-for-1 as the Bard goes down, but the Sion is now in the front line. And Sion is so unstoppable. A flash forward, but the fourth shot takes down a half of his HP. Double kill for Elk. And that'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it. A fourth shot from the heavens. Elk takes half the HP off of Hoya. And the ultimate is up just in time to slam into Annie. Weibo take a one late game fight and they'll run down the entire mid lane. NIP. We thought they might have a way for a comeback, but Guon 2 failed engages in a row. Thwarted by Weibo. Will leave Weibo 2-0 in the series. They'll draw even in series wins with NIP at 5. And NIP will lose back-to-back series. Been undefeated this split. Will that be enough? See if the crowds give us the energy to work our way to an answer. Let's hear the Gyos, get onto the rift. Oh, I love this guy. Well, guess who's got the crowd most closer to them? I mean, I would give anything to shake hands with the Jingdong chant leader. Q does land from Shanks there, does end up getting the Deathfire touch on both laners here. Single target spells last longer. The DOT lasts less long, but I mean, because you have DOT, it'll kind of keep burning alongside the DOT. 2 out of 3 Qs from Shanks hit at the early levels. Konq stacking up his stun again. You can see how much damage the Cassiopeia does. Of course, Honky's been a big player of this too. We'll lose a minion there, but Shanks chooses to do the damage onto Honky rather than onto the minion. 1 minion compared to a decent amount of damage on the other side. Quite nasty. Shanks is looking for level 2. He's hit like 4 out of 5 Qs now onto Honky. Very powerful laning from him in the early levels. Bot lane contested quite heavily. Level 2 will come up now. Vampire, I believe, started with the W level 1. You do tend to in this matchup anyway, so you can shrug off some damage and access the wave a bit better. Junja has gone for an invade. He went Raptors and over to the other side of the map. Now, did AL spot all of this? I'm not sure they did. Tarzan is going to be really far behind if they don't spot this out. He's going to walk into bot side and his wolves are going to be gone. They had wards on his Raptors. I mean, Junja has been the invading jungler. He might even get fought over on his Raptors. Tarzan is going to go down towards bot side. Can he fight for his Gromp? We'll see. Blue buff is gone. Gromp is just about going now. That means Junja is behind bot lane. They spot this out early. Early hook. That's a bit awkward. Junja will walk away with the camp steal, though. Can Tarzan get into the enemy bot lane, bot side jungle now? There's both summoners away from Kyle. Jumping onto Junja. Only hits the dogs, though. The Q does not actually end up connecting. With that, I don't think Tarzan can actually compete for these camps. Kyle did use both his summoners. Can he still walk over and be a threat? I suppose he can be. Both junglers have smite. Vampire doesn't have heal or flash either. He's down the level. Only the level 2. Smite goes towards Junja. Tarzan missing out on this again. The reason why that's important, right, is because Junja's already stolen camps away from the other side. And both of them smited, so Tarzan doesn't have himself smite himself. Vampire was thinking about Hex flashing over. Can't do right now. Mid laners aren't roaming. Junja has flash. Looks like red buff will be secured from Tarzan. So it will end up being a camp in the advantage to Junja, but not 2. Junja will probably go towards his top camps and scuttle. I guess technically he could go for a Raptor respawn kill as well. Hook lands onto Kyle, gets the aftershock on him. Good trade there. Kyle's low. It's a very good hook from Vampire, but the W keeps him alive for now. Hope gets the lethal tempo stacked back up, and the trade back is actually not bad at all. Can you get the auto attack on target? Yes, he can. Tanks the rest of that up with the shield. Tarzan's actually returned bot lane, skipping out on some farming time. Good hook there from Vampire. Of course, his Nautilus was one of the champions he really made his name on. One of the things you'll never hear me complain about is his aggressiveness in laning phase. That's how he really rose to the top on WE. Gala having a decent time on the Varus, going for the poke variant. Most Varuses do now in bot lane, really. It's been a while since we've seen consistent on-hit Varus. Varus just can't stand an auto attack much in pro play. You know, champions like Vayne in bot lane, or Samira, Neela, Varus, low range AD carries. It's very hard to make them work in pro play. So you're just never allowed to sit and actually auto attack. Flandre and Xiaoxu even in this top lane. Jungler's back on the top side of the map. Kyle walking up towards mid lane. Of course, Kyle has largely recovered his form. This is that alt Q there. Shanks a little bit ahead of Honku. And as you were saying, Honku didn't have the easiest time the other day. That being said, Shanks didn't have a great last series either, actually. Shanks on the Azir was dreadful his last time out of it. And you know, I never thought I'd see that. Shanks, one of the best Azir players within the LPL historically, had a bad time versus NIP. Ended up going for that, you know, solo dive onto Care under top lane turret. Died for it. Had some, yeah, some moments to forget there. Laning phase been pretty decent here from Gala and Vampire, about 10 CS up. Oh, Shanks. That's not it, is it? Misses the ultimate. If he'd done that, potentially would have gotten the flash out of Honku. Not to be. Vampire may be looking for the hook here, but you would be buying into a 2v3. You use your body language there to say, well, maybe Neferi's around the corner, you know? Hey, Raziri, good to see you. Hey, anyone else I haven't said hey to yet? Shady, hello. Not sure I said hey to you yet either. If you're in chat, welcome along. And if you are someone who's watching along live with these, I do pay attention to chat. I like to pay attention to your analysis, your thoughts, your comedy sometimes too. Appreciate the follow there too, Redemption. Shanks killing off the Tibbers. Gets some good damage onto the manaless Annie. As he has the tier, plenty of mana left to spend in that trade anyway. And quite low himself. Gold is dead on even to both these teams. XP advantage to Jundra, as we said. He'd managed to get the camp advantage. Game of inches? Yeah, for sure, Peanut. For sure. And the thing is, when you have a game of inches with a champion like Nautilus in it, one hook can actually just cost you the game or win you the game. That's very much how Vampire used to play. If you didn't watch him in his time during... Well, EDG was a very bad time for him. So, I mean, if you want to understand how much Vampire has recovered from his career, definitely go watch his EDG years. The Doom Squad. Vampire was probably the worst debutant I've ever seen in LPL. He had the worst debut of any player that I was around for in LPL. Ultimate use from Xiaoxu there. Gets a bit of chunk onto Flandre. Flandre misses the cannon there too. But then if you watch him on WE, then you start seeing him, well, okay, he's a good team fighter and a good laner. The thing about Vampire is that, for those of you that don't know, he's a locked camera support player. He doesn't play with a free camera. And I think that actually informs his playstyle quite a bit, where I think that he's actually someone that does very well at anything that's on his screen. What he's had to learn is to do things off his screen, like appear at side lanes at the right time, ward effectively, not die when warding. When you're looking for the creative plays, not... give up your life too easily. And that's the kind of thing which we are seeing improve on JDG. He didn't have that on WE, and he didn't have it at the start of this year. I think Vampire is, you know, solidly a top 5 support in the LPL now. Be very interesting to see how he combos up with Junja. One of the things that we saw in the BLG series, for instance, is that once Junja falls behind or Vampire falls behind, their synergy really starts to crack. You can see why Tabe at first stand was talking about JDG being a very individualistic team. And I think that part of it does come through from that style of play. They play around strong individuals. It allows them to rally around the person who's ahead. Potential hook onto Kyle here. Doesn't land. Realized he was in danger. Dragon is alive. We might see a contest over this. Tarzan does have himself the Tunneler. Junja, the Pickaxe, and the Call Field. So he'll be going towards a Voltaic himself first. There's a couple of players pros that play with locked cam. Yeah, Doggo in LCP does. Over from CFO. It's a lot worse for a support than it is for most other roles, though. Honku charging up that stun, but casting the ult first for a bit of trade. Shanks getting the empowered ease onto Tibbers to make sure it goes low. Grub's taken by Junja. Dragon started by anyone's legend, who will be finished here. No contest. So it'll be a split on the map. Grubs to JDG. Dragon to anyone's legend. Now, one of the side effects of this is that Junja is going to get more XP from the Grubs than Tarzan does for the Dragon. Miasma goes down there from Shanks. Trading again pretty well versus Honku. Largely got the best of this lane. Of course, Honku on the Cassiopeia has been very effective on this too. Good ult from Hope. The thing about Ezreal players out there, your ultimate has a long cast time. It's very easy to dodge the ultimate if you see Ezreal charging up. because you just know he's going to be casting it in a certain direction, right? So you want to cast it from out of vision. So if you're going to use an Ezreal ult, cast it from out of vision. Someone like an Ashe ult, you can sometimes get away with it casting on vision because it's quite a short cast time. Not really Ezreal ult. You need to make sure you're in a bush first. I hold spacebar in fights. Yes. Yes, I do the same. I hold spacebar to center my camera, but that's during fights. You use F keys to quickly get information. You drag on the minimap if you want to see something specific. If you want to see a teleport in Fog of War, you actually click and drag on the minimap to and you just sweep it across the screen. See if you see that vertical line coming through from the ceiling, from the sky rather. That's one way to check for flank teleports, especially when you're against a Kennen. That is invaluable to know. If you're like a support or jungle, you know, someone that doesn't need to be like watching your screen all the time and like you're not the first person into the fight, just look at all the bits of Fog of War. If they teleport to a control ward, you can see that teleport coming in from Fog of War. You can't if it's a vision ward, but sometimes you can see it, right? Slow game so far. First blood not happening at 10 minutes. I suppose we should probably talk about... We talked a lot about JDG and their style of play, right? Anyone's Legend on the other side. You know them from 2025, so this will be rehashing it for a lot of you in there. Anyone's Legend, they really were about Tarzan Tabe and how cerebral those players are. Vampire spotted by Tarzan. He'll put down a control ward and immediately lose it, sadly, for him. But Tabe was the coach, and he was the brains off the Rift. Tarzan was the brains on the Rift, one of the most cerebral players of all time. Very, very good jungler is Tarzan. Very good at fighting, very good at engaging, very good at his jungle pathing to get ahead of the game when he's allowed to do so. Of course, one of the problems in this split is that he's not been very good at doing that. I think one of the problems with Anyone's Legend, which was hidden by the fact that last year was a lane swap meta, is that a lot of their early lanes are not fantastic at winning the arm wrestle in the first few levels and then moving away from lane. Shanks really wants to get himself to hit on tower, and he does. He almost gets himself the plate there. Realized he would take a hard trade, but thinks it's worth it. Will get himself... I think just about plate gold there, actually. About 10 CS up on Honkyu. Shanks was the one guy that was like the strong lane from Anyone's Legend. I think that last year was his real rise to greatness. 2024, we kind of saw the start of that, where we saw, you know, Cream and Shanks, you know, fighting for titles. Or at least Cream was, because he was there on top esports, right? But Cream and Shanks together in 2025 as this kind of like class of... God, when did they start coming up? About, what, 21, 22 odd? They started to be contesting with the great mid laners of the LPL for the first time. Because you had, what, Rookie, Durnby, Scout, Xiaohu, Knight. Those 5 mid laners were kind of indomitable. You couldn't get past that iron wall of those mid laners at the top of the table. And then in 2025, that changed, really. It technically in 24 too, but in 25, that's when it really changed. And we saw, you know, Scout fall off, really. Xiaohu started falling off too. Durnby was back, but not in the form he was in. So you were left with basically just Knight and Rookie at the top of those kind of top mid lane tier lists, really. And Shanks and Cream were the two which really came up to fill in those gaps. And now we see Honkyu coming over from LCP as well. He's also joined the ranks of elite LPL mid laners, despite his youth and his lack of tenure, at least within the region, well, in general too, right? So seeing Shanks versus Honkyu is two, especially Honkyu being so much newer than Shanks too, but both there kind of filling in the gaps of the elite LPL pool, it really comes at the end of a long story. Gala and Hope trading off there. The barrier will protect the recall. Really wanted a timely recall there, and we'll get that. I guess Triforce in that's back. That's where you really needed that recall. Ginger, a spot out Shanks. Shanks again. Laning quite well here, as we've been saying. Does have the teleport to get back to lane. Dragon in 30 seconds. Anyone's Legend got the first one. If Anyone's Legend get the second one, then that's when you start having a real conversation about how strategically they are ahead in the game or not. We do have Xiaoxu with level 11. Leandri, he is very strong. Vampire spots the Q over the wall there. No stun from Honkyu, though. Just used it on the wave. I don't think they spotted that ward go down there, actually. It looks like everything's... the storm's brewing now, folks. Looks like we're getting ready for a big fight around the dragon. Flandre will need to recall for his own first item, which is... means he's going to be delayed for this now. Shanks, you got to be careful there, buddy. Shanks, buddy, a little bit scared of that. Honkyu is going to flash backwards, and now Tarzan's out of position. Not sure about this one. Gets another Q in. Vampire gets the ult down. Goes onto the Cassiopeia. Here comes Junja. Good damage onto him. Xiaoxu comes in for the ultimate too. That's a pretty big equalizer. However, Flandre gets a good play back between worlds, doing damage, and the burn will lead to a 1-for-1. 2-for-1 as Flandre goes for the passive. Anyone's Legend winning the fight. Q not enough to kill Honkyu with the flash afterwards. Anyone's Legend get away with it, though, and they'll go 2 for 1, taking top lane and support. Tarzan, I thought he was going to die immediately as he was flashed out of position by Honkyu. Honkyu, we said he was struggling versus BLG, but that was versus BLG. Right there, his misposition may well have cost JDG the dragon in the fight. So watch this again, right? Because Honkyu, look, the Varus isn't there. You can't afford to take that fight at that point. It's too far from the Annie specifically. If you're the Nautilus, you probably get away with it. You don't get away with it because you're the Annie. Shanks' ultimate is W'd by Junja. Equalize is actually pretty good, but then Flandra gets a massive play. Personally, I think Vampire goes for the wrong target here. I don't think you want it all in under that turret. I think flashing forwards for that is a mistake. I get that he wants to kill the Cassiopeia, but Flandra just gets a free fight after that point. Herald now started. Tarzan doesn't have ult, but then again, not many people have ult here right now. Vampire used his 2. Still a lot on cooldown. Hope feels pretty strong here with his, regular abilities being so nasty on the Ezreal. I think JDG might have to back off. Well, their ultimates are going to come up just a hair quicker than anyone's Legend. Vampire going to get rooted here. Hooks back onto the Karma. Mikhails himself because the Varus ult was cast onto him. Tarzan ult in a few seconds. Equalizer goes down, but the Herald's already gone. A bit messy here from JDG. Here comes Honkyu. Can he do anything? Doesn't have the flash, though. Shanks doesn't have flash. That's probably a dead snake. They'll go 1 for none here. Well, JDG, I think anyone's Legend will just let Shanks die. Don't commit to a larger fight. They didn't feel like they were ready for that one. Shanks dies twice in 2 fights. He's been targeted quite heavily here. Had no flash to get out that last one, as he was saying. Herald summoned in mid lane immediately. So there's a top lane push from JDG, mid lane from anyone's Legend. Because they're heavily committing with solo laners towards top lane, though, they might actually lose the full mid lane turret. This could be a problem for them. Even, hang on, jumping on towards the Neferi. Do they have the ultimate? Yes, they do, because the W was used a little earlier. Turret goes down. Good heal there onto Junja. Vampire, no flash. I don't think they can follow up any further. Junja has an E back off cooldown. Mid lane turret first of the game for anyone's Legend. And JDG feel a little bit slow on the map here, actually. Fight. Gonna find out Neferi again. Q's back onto them. Good trade there from Tarzan, who's been largely judging his engages fairly effectively on the Vi. Junja not having the best impact so far. Slight gold lead to JDG. 2 dragons to anyone's Legend, but they did get mid lane turret. Mid lane turret is a big one. Now, Xiaoshu is 2-1. This is a scary rumble. The equalizer against such a squishy team will be disgustingly strong. Looks like he's going towards... he will go towards the Bloodletter second. Very common there for the Rumble. Ezreal's getting up towards his 2 items on a good tick here as well. Or good clip, rather. I suppose that's the sailing turn, right? He'll pretty much have his Muramana completed when he gets the gold for it. He's at 330 stacks already. So he's going to get his Muramana at around about, what, 19 minutes or so? Just before 20, I think, actually, on this kind of pace. Has the level 11, cleaning up midwave. This is a very scrappy game. Now, this is the kind of League of Legends which Tabe instills in teams. Both of these teams are ones with great ability to reactive team fight, where you see someone out of position, you immediately pounce. You immediately teleport. And if you want to see the style of play which Tabe instills in a team, that is what you see. Very quick engages, very quick teleports when someone's out of position. Very free flow League of Legends. It has a good underpinning to the structure too, right? Where, players are in the right part of the map to look for those plays. Of course, that's something with JDG. That's something they actually have to work on, but you can see them getting better at that. Players like Vampire and Junja, at the start of the year, being out of position when looking for those fights, and they're getting better at it now. Shank's a little bit afraid, actually, of his positioning on the map. Both mid and bot lane have their tiers actually fully stacked. They just need the gold to complete those items. Another kill had gone after Shanks. Might have even got that now. Muramana, there you go. 1830. That is a very, very quick Muramana from Hope. Very quick. Really want to call that out. Hope 6-0 on the champion. It has been his best champion. And for all the criticism that Hope has had on anyone's Legend, the Ezreal, I think, you can save from that kind of criticism. I'm closing my eyes and trying to picture a JDG win. A very good equalizer will do it. A very good Tibbers and a very good equalizer will do it. It's a very squishy team from anyone's Legend. Now, it's very easy to land a good hook, full CC combo. On the other side from anyone's Legend, if Aurora, Cassiopeia, and Ezreal manage to get a good burst themselves, they can split apart and not stack up for the engage. Ezreal can very much clean up these fights. As can the Cassiopeia. As can the Aurora. Very mobile champions. The Aurora W reset can actually be very scary in the right positions. Dragon now in 20 seconds. Looks like we're playing around objective timers, really. A little bit of damage onto Vampire there from Flandre. Pops the Celestial opposition. Flandre has to be a little bit careful here. He's gone for the Leandri's build. Hope can E over the wall if he needs to. Might want to take those Honey Fruit there. Varus looking for a bit of a poke angle. 5v5. Anyone's Legend on the objective first. Watch out for the Equalizer. Goes on to Hope, but the E away is good. That's important. Good buffer there. Scary though. Vampire loses a bit of HP. Ginger round on the flank is spotted here for now. Ginger can hop over the pit. Xiaoshu has a very good Equalizer angle. Jumps onto Tarzan. Loses a lot of his HP. I actually think Anyone's Legend are in a losing position here. Here goes Flandre though. Does he want to jump forwards? No. Only gets a little bit of the passive down. Equalizer's not bad either. Hope, a lot of damage onto him. Smite goes to JDG. Cassiopeia is shredded, and JDG get the better angle. The Equalizer was very good to make sure that Hope couldn't really get into the play. Muramana or no, it's not enough. Hope now has to jump over the wall. They still have an ultimate available, though, and Junja gets burst. One last auto attack will do it. Hope will trade his life for it. Good save by Tarzan, though. Ends up cancelling the Neferi ultimate. It's 3 for 1 and a dragon for JDG, though. Jumps into Carla, but doesn't quite get him with the Q. Didn't spot him. Unfortunately, walks into the Varus. Make that a 4 for 1. JDG, excellent fight from them. Anyone's Legend. This was not a kind objective fight to them. Not a great combo from Flandre. He was looking for a lot of poke. Couldn't quite get it. Does get decent damage onto Junja. You can just see that, you know, it's the Equalizer cutting him off on the pass. It's the Nautilus and the Annie following up. The CC from JDG is really nasty if people clump. And the way that they position on that objective made it quite easy to do so. W almost saves Junja, but Hope realizes one last auto attack will do it. I mean, Hope is pretty strong, but you can see you just couldn't really walk away with much damage in that team fight. When you're kind of lined up like that, it just feels really bad from Anyone's Legend to just get hit by that Equalizer. You know, all the gold that was given from the top lane out of turret going towards the Rumble so we can get earlier power. It's really scary from Anyone's Legend. So what do Anyone's Legend do now? You're fighting from behind the gold lead. You do have good items on your carries. I mean, you got 2 items everywhere. You're at a strong point. It's not like Gala's completed his Muramana. Varus is always a little slower to it because he doesn't spam as many skills. They jump onto Junja. They'll have to W through this. They have the ultimate onto him if they want. They don't want to follow up on that, though. We're worried about the response from JDG. I think they actually could have looked for a fight there. Hang on, his W's still on cooldown here. Junja, dude, your W's still on cooldown. Flashes away. They don't have the follow-up now, though, and that's the problem. Tarzan goes low, flash for flash. Shanks will quite happily take this top lane out of turret. Didn't quite get the full combo onto him. I think he greeted for an extra auto attack reset. If he had gone for the ultimate immediately, I think Junja might have straight up died, actually. Because Flandre could have very easily followed him, I think, at that point. So turret for turret trade, Anyone's Legend. Actually, no, they're not able to completely get that top lane out of turret. My bad. So turret for none. JDG walking away with better gold from the exchange. Junja very nearly taken down, as we were saying. Reminder that the winner of this series goes third behind Top Esports and BLG. BLG being first, Top Esports being second. Based on game difference. Even if a team 2-0s this, they won't be able to overtake Top Esports in game difference. So Dragon leads slightly there from Anyone's Legend. I mean, if Hope can use this 2-item spike within the next minute or so, next minute or two rather, lead it into a Dragon, that's great. I mean, Flandre's in a pretty good spot too with the Bloodletters, but feels like Anyone's Legend really need a good fight around this spike. Otherwise, I feel like the Rumble becomes more and more of an issue. The Rumble Annie, so much CC, so much crazy damage, and you're not a tanky team. You do get exploded. This is the worry coming out of the draft for me, is that, you know, one good Annie stun, one good Nautilus hook, just melt afterwards. Varus needs Serpent's Fang this game. Yeah, you could go for that third. Yeah, he's got the Muramana now. You could go for it now. Although, to be honest, you might go Edge of Night third. Go Serpent's Fang a bit later. I don't think you're lacking for damage from JDG right now. Teleport in from the Aurora. Trying to fight for the Scuttle Crab. It'll block a hook angle for now. Junja does get the Smite. That's a pretty good... oh, actually, no, it's not. The CC didn't actually land onto the Aurora afterwards. Gala will get the ult onto Flandre, but he'll be able to get over the wall. That's an Equalizer, which is a bit Wait, hang on. That was some flashes used there, wasn't it? Huh. Okay. What the heck happened there? I was surprised to hear a flash sound there. I wasn't looking for it. Hey, that was a bit strange there. All right. What the heck happened with the flash? Vampire just randomly flashed. Why did Vampire just randomly flash? Huh? Right, okay. Well, now Dragon's up and Vampire doesn't have flash. That's kind of huge, no? Because he can't flash ult now. He doesn't even have ults. Misusing those skills there a couple of seconds before everything. Hang on, hasn't JDG just completely thrown the setup for this now? You don't have At-Tibbers, you don't have Equalizer, you don't have Vampire's ultimate too, whereas on the other side you have the Vi ultimate, you have the Aurora ultimate. Well, they're giving themselves a bit of a difficulty modifier here. They may still win it, but they should have been in such a better position. Vampire taking a little bit of poke, Celestial position is off. They don't have the Nautilus ult now. Vampire doesn't have flash, he doesn't have ult. They've just given up their position on this. It's going to come down to a smite from Ginger. I mean, Anyone's Legend should be looking for the fight with a lot of these ultimates down. 10 seconds on the Equalizer. If it goes a little later, that'll be a problem. Vampire lands the hook, but is buffered away from again. Tarzan out-trading Ginger. If they take the fight now, JDG have their ultimates back up. The Petrifying Gaze is met by a hook onto Shanks. Good damage, though. Vampire goes down. Had no flash to escape that one. Ginger is on the Dragon. Where's Tarzan going? He's looking for the fight. They're going to give up the Dragon instead, but they've only taken one kill. That's not good enough from Anyone's Legend. They turn for a single kill, and they don't get enough out of it. That's a mistake, I think. Anyone's Legend go low on their carries, but surely that should have been better for them. JDG must have felt like they'd gotten away with daylight robbery. They waste. I mean, Vampire randomly flashing on the spot in the last fight, losing his ultimate too, should have thrown that fight for them. Coming up around the Dragon, they weren't up in time. Anyone's Legend don't get the Dragon. They only get a single kill. They don't actually get anything more as they chase down kills. That is a sigh of relief for JDG. They stop the Dragon stacking. They get one of their own, and they don't lose that too much for it. No real follow-up on the Shanks flash shot. They did. They had a little bit. I didn't think it was that bad, actually. You know, they had the Aurora ult onto it, so I'm not completely in agreement on that. We'll watch this again. Shanks gets himself... You know, I mean, Vampire has no flash. This is a pretty easy way to follow up onto it, right? I mean, let's have a look-see here. So, flashes for the ultimate. Gets good damage across here. I mean, Tarzan Q's onto him and gets on Q as well. But at this point, back off. At this point, back off. Tarzan should be queuing back towards Dragon. Like, the chase afterwards is the problem. The fight was fine. The chase is actually the problem there. I mean, Anyone's Legend is clearly not on the same page. JDG, at least they understood we want the Dragon. We'll give up a kill, that's fine. I don't think they were on the same page there at all. No, you see, that's where I disagree, Crown, because clearly, you know, Shanks wanted to go in, and then Tarzan wanted to chase, but he was on his own. And then they kind of split up. I think they could have just all gone... Yeah, I think if they'd all committed to the chase, perhaps that makes a difference. Flandra, of course, used his ultimate a little earlier. No, but they chased for different kills, though. They chased for different kills, which I wasn't a big fan of. Baron now started. Did AL have any idea about this? Now, they see them walking up. They should know about this now. I think JDG would really like to get the Aurora teleport out. Now, this is a little dangerous for JDG. They don't spot it yet. Guys, you need to check. Guys, the Baron is going down. AL, what are you doing? JDG will sneak away a Baron. They don't check it. It goes down. I just want to check their player cams here. Bit of a twitch from Tarzan's face there. That is just... not good from Anyone's Legend. JDG, it's a great sneak from them, but, I mean, AL should have known from body language that this was going down. They'll trade a Baron for a bot lane out of turret. That is not worth it in my eyes, chap. Not worth it in any world. What is happening with Anyone's Legend in the way that they're approaching these fights in the map? It feels like, philosophically, they don't understand what they want out of fights and what they want out of different situations on the map. Teleport coming in from Flandra. It looks like Anyone's Legend really want to snap back fight now. Tarzan will steal away the red buff. I suppose that's something, I guess. Dragon in 2 minutes. JDG are not pushing out lanes right now because they were fighting over that red buff. Gosh, what has happened to Anyone's Legend? I think we are seeing the product of Tarbade. You know, I had a podcast recently, Shut Up and Scale. It's a new podcast I've been starting where we kind of take topics, take a long time to discuss them and prep for them as well, so we come in as well prepared as possible. We scale our analysis. And one of the things I was talking about is, how can you tell if a coach is good? And one of the points which I always, from a layman's perspective, will think about when it comes to coaches, as that's another good smite there from Tarzan, is if a team looks like they understand what their composition is meant to do and what the enemy composition is meant to do, I think they are well coached. I think JDG here understand what they wanted from these fights. Not always. They've made some mechanical mistakes too, but that's different from coaching, right? But I do think that Anyone's Legend don't understand what they really want from these objective setups. I don't think they understand what they want from various points in the game, whereas JDG, they look like they are more on the same page for what their composition wants to do. Now, it is still an even game. Anyone's Legend are very talented individual players. Particularly Tarzan, of course, as we've noted. But it does feel as though Anyone's Legend look a bit lost. Turret goes down. The Baron power play now stretches beyond 1,000 after losing that turret and bot lane. Teleports coming through from Rumble. They really want the siege here. If it's a front to back, JDG win it. Look at the poke there from Gala. Shanks is really not happy with that. Serpent's Fang is in from Gala. He's going towards the edge of night 4th. Thought that both those items should be in the full build. It's just the order of them which changed. Are you able to get coach interviews on? Hang on a second. Vampire has to use that heal. Goes a little too far forwards there. Bit of an overstay. There's a bit more HP there too. Hang on. Dragon's up in 20 seconds. Vampire, buddy, you just lost half your HP. 20 seconds before Baron. Dragon, rather. That's a bit of a problem. AL now could give up a Dragon. I don't think I'm a big enough name, Michael. Yamato's a big name. He's worked within global esports for like 10 years odd now. I'm not a big enough name to get coaches on like that, I don't think. So this will be a free Dragon. Anyone's Legend will not contest this one. Instead, they'll get some vision around other parts of the map. Well, at least they understand they're not winning that from that setup. Yeah, they had no vision around it. Not enough anyway. The last Dragon fight and then into the Baron felt very avoidable from Anyone's Legend. JDG clearly understand philosophically what they want out of this game more. Managed to walk up towards this bot town, take that one for free, even though the Baron must have fallen off. And this is a continuation of a string of woe for Anyone's Legend, despite the fact that they have Hope on his 6-0 Ezreal, despite they have Shanks on Cassiopeia, one of the best players of this. Hang on a second, Gala was actually alone in mid lane there. There was a chance of an extended play. Well, no, there was no one else following up. You would have needed teleport from Shanks from that, so I may lie on that one. Tarzan's not strong enough to 1v1 a 4-item Gala. Hey, Amber, good to see you. Yeah, you know, at some point I would love to get players and coaches on stream. It'd be fantastic. You know, I really appreciate talking to coaches and players about the game. But because I never worked for a team, and because I never like made it that big in broadcast. I mean I was on LAC and LPL, right? But I wasn't like, I'm not a Vedius or a Medic or I don't know, something like Jat or Kobe. I'm not like one of these really big names. I just don't think I've got the name brand value to like tell people to, and my stream's not that big right now. It's fine. I love the stream and I appreciate the community I have. But if I'm going to convince someone to come on stream and it's like, oh yeah, we've got like, you know, a few hundred viewers, it's a bit different from saying you've got a few thousand, right? You know, it's a bit different on that front. Junja jumping over the wall. Kyle takes a bit of damage from that Q. What's that? Hang on a second. Hook missing there from Vampire. Okay damage back from Flandre. Nothing crazy. Molten Shield was actually onto him too, so a bit of the Thorns damage went back on towards Flandre. Rift mate. We've got the triple mass stacking from Flandre, so his slow burn is really nice. It's not as one-shotty, but across the whole team, if you get that burn across it, it's really nice. Hang on. Jump forwards here. Who's the person caught out? It's going to be Tarzan, but he survives the initial play. Flandre is actually getting a ton of burn damage down. Honky will live, but it will be at the cost of Nautilus. Tarzan lived a lot longer than I think they were expecting. Junja now around the corner is spotted, though. Good damage there from Flandre. As we were talking about that slow burn, I think that Bloodletters being stacked up and the Leandries did a lot of work from Anyone's Legend. Flandre, you know, they talked about the key matchup being Flandre versus Xiaoxu in the draft. Hang on, Xiaoxu. They don't realize there's a ward in there. Xiaoxu takes another bit of damage. Hope now has the Cyrildas. Dragon up in 2.5 minutes. A bit of a DPS check. That's actually quite worrying for JDG. Tarzan took a long time to die there. And Tarzan will have a GA before the next play. So Tarzan flies into the play, gets ulted by 3 people, but then the Aurora ultimate is kind of crazy. I think, look, yeah, Vampire is a lot squishier than a much higher level jungler at this point. Tarzan's level 15. I mean, Junja's level 17. He's got a huge XP lead. Tarzan should have the GA before the next. Hang on, Junja's getting jumped on by Hope here, but not going to lead to that much. Junja's had some really good farming. Of course, the Nymaera farms very quickly. Any kills are worth it for anyone's legend in this state. It depends how it sets up for Dragonfight, right? Ocean Soul. I think Ocean Soul is a bit of a... Well, it's not like you're the tankiest team. I prefer to have Ocean on tanks, but when you have someone like Gala and Xiaoxu, they can just kind of burn for forever and go into a Zhonya's heal up for your solo laners too. I think the Ocean Soul becomes really problematic. You can't lose this dragon as anyone's legend. Minute left. How do they set it up? It's been a slow game. Very much about the chess match around vision, around objective setup. Xiaoxu wants to get himself a bit more gold on the table too. Level 18. Of course, Tarzan he's not even going to get himself to level 16. He's 3 levels behind Junja, who has been really farming well. The early jungle pathing from Junja was very good on the invade. Good poke there from Hope. He does have decent sustain from the Endless Hunger. Gets the spell shield off of Gala. Endless Hunger, well, he's got to do a lot of eating here because he just got hit by another arrow. Yes, he got this vampire, but he misses that one. Tarzan on the flank. Again, not level 16 yet, but does have GA, very importantly. Hope trying to heal off of the minions. We'll get some of that done. Xiaoxu on the flank. That next equalizer is going to hit like a brick. Hope you can't get hit by all these arrows, man. Getting hit by more of that, and it's such a big issue. Doesn't get hit by the Nymaera Q. There, here comes Flandre. Not the most value, but now Vampire's completely caught out. He's way too far forwards. Vampire separated from the team. Can a JDG fight in the 4v5 now? It is going to be that Aurora ultimate use. That's a big cooldown. The arrows from Gala are stinging, though. Hope has to get a lot of healing done off of these minions. Tarzan jumps forwards again. Teleport back in from Flandre. Doesn't have his own ultimate. Death time is still there from the Nautilus. Tarzan jumping onto Xiaoxu. He has his golden stasis. They're jumping onto Flandre. He's teleported in. It might be top lane for top lane. JDG happy to get the resets on Junja, though. Shanks is doing the damage. The Cassiopeia, perhaps their first good team fight of the game. Tarzan goes into GA. Junja gets a lot of damage with the triple kill to Shanks. Wins the fight. Nautilus comes back alive. Gala is full HP. I'm not sure they've got that. Shanks, you need to recall. Shanks, you need to recall and teleport back in. Shanks, recall now. Shanks, you have to recall. The only way you stop this is by recalling and teleporting back in. He's waited too long. He's waited too long. He can't teleport back in now. Shanks makes a huge mistake. Tarzan's going to walk over, but he doesn't have smite. It's on cooldown. They're teleporting back in now, but Gala can potentially just hide in the brush. Oh my gosh, I thought that Shanks had made a huge mistake by delaying his recall. They will get themselves the dragon. There will be no soul for JDG. Shanks had a great team fight for it feels like the first time this game. Gala, can you pull a Gumi UC? They have the vision on it. No, not looking for the steal. Can't get it. Ezreal ult will strip the spell shield and not stop the fight. I mean, Vampire's way too far up. You are not tanky. You are 7 levels down on top laners and then hooks into death. This is sadly more of what we saw from Vampire last year on WE. I think that the Enchanter meta has actually weirdly been quite good for him, but Vampire not the strongest game from him. Randomly flashing on the spot. Dying there from hooks into walls. Not a great performance from that. Kyle goes down, though. Gala gets a great arrow into his back. And now suddenly JDG have themselves the numbers advantage. Honku not going to get hit by that ultimate. Not a good ultimate there from Flandre. Ezreal ultimate tags him down. Not enough to kill. So it ends up being a 1 for none. No soul. It's becoming very much a chess match going into the late game. Baron started, but no Aurora ultimate. That really hurts Flandre. Hope, good damage onto Vampire there, just the single Q. Hook there onto Shanks. Good. That's a very good Zhonya's, but he doesn't have a slash to get out of this. Gets an decent ultimate. Decent damage back. Gonna fly forwards onto Honku, and they will trade mid laners, but the jungler goes down too. It's an early E from Hope. He can't get away from Junja. The W will come through. Hope trying to heal as best he can. Vampire once again going into the wall. Scary stuff. The Nautilus will live this time. JDG win the fight. Great pick off this time with the Nautilus hook onto the Cassiopeia, the Ezreal ultimate, doing a good amount of work. Hope is 5-1 and 5. Gala, hang on, Flandre jumping forwards again. Can you steal anything? No. Junja has been incredible on the Nymaera, providing some extra threat. The Endless Hunger giving themselves the healing too. Baron for JDG again. JDG just that hair better at objective setups. The Miasma is good. I mean, the Zhonya's is very good. And then the Miasma goes down after the ultimate. Nymaera gets away to the side, though. How well does Junja play this? A second jump forwards. Hope was afraid of the Next jump, not the best E away from him, but he does end up living. I thought that Vampire might have actually completely screwed it there and died again, but not quite. There's a Riftmaker in from Shanks who wants the extra HP and a bit more of the extra healing. Dragon now up in 3 minutes. It's not going to be overlapping with the Baron buff. The gold is still within touching distance. Tarzan is at least now level 16. The good thing for Tarzan is that he can't fall any further behind in terms of XP. Junja's been the better jungler here today, though. In this game, Tarzan 0 and 3. Junja 3 and 2. 3k lead. And that lead did top out to about, 3 levels. The XP now is very much closer because Tarzan can, sit and watch the Nymaera be capped out on XP. We're going into the late game, folks. 40-minute game. It's one of the longer LPL games. We very rarely watch them last this long. I think Flandra's ultimate is the most important thing that anyone's legend have to use. Vampire, full combo onto him. Doesn't look like it, though. The Celestial opposition. And the Locket shield protecting him from that one. Now, the Bloodletters is very much helping Shanks do some damage. That's why Flandra wants to lead off with it. Hang on. Junja's up. Can they look for a play while Junja's on the side lane? I wonder whether they could have done, actually. We'll look for the 5v4 while Junja was out of position. They don't manage to find it. The gold lead is starting to creep up from JDG as they get onto more and more turrets. Kyle's Karma, of course, not really as explosive in value this later into the game. Hang on, there goes the Aurora ultimate. He's been using that for poke and to stack the burn up onto multiple people. You can see it's not doing a crazy amount there, really. That ultimate, we said that it was quite important. The hook very nearly hitting Shanks. That could have been a game changer. Slowly does it. JDG will break the base in mid lane as well as bot lane now. AL are really struggling to land the damage. Feels like they can only work around that Aurora ultimate. And it's just not doing enough now. It's just not doing enough. There is the anti-heal orb there, the Oblivion orb. He's got himself a Hextech alternator as well. Might be going for a Shadow Flame in that last bit. I've got to go turn off this advert. Be gone. Dragon down 50 seconds. JDG get themselves their gold. Push back in. It's only a 3k lead at 40 minutes. Not crazy. You've got a full build Ezreal almost. Well, he's one item off, so call me a liar on that one. Very even with Gala, though. Has himself the Sorildas and the Shojin. I mean, this Ezreal could do some bits. Shanks on the flank. Gala has a spell shield for now. See if they can tap that down. He does manage to get that. That's important. Hope really happy with that one. Junja caught out with the IQ. CC back onto Tarzan. Flandra, oh, very close to getting hit by the Nautilus hook. Not quite going to hit him there. Ultimates use on both sides, it looks like there. Yeah, the Varus ultimate was used. The Mikhail's used to cleanse that. Tarzan is on the flank. Can they get onto Gala? Yes, they can! Where's the damage? The Varus goes down! Gala is down. Where's the damage after that point? Kyle dead on the other side. Junja tries to carry. Hope he has to try and survive the Endless Hunger. Not enough! The Neferi is the carry they need. Xiaoshu goes golden. A very impressive Sonya's. Flandra doesn't have the damage, and despite the fact that Gala had himself die at the start of the fight, JDG have enough extra players with damage to spare to carry the fight. Junja, incredible damage on the Neferi. Shanks, I don't think he's going to survive this one. Anyone's Legend have lost despite a valiant effort. JDG carried by Junja. No one's there to defend the base. The Nexus is going down. Anyone's Legend, they let a couple of objectives slip away from them, and JDG take the entire game. JDG on their march through the top 3 teams, beat Top Esports, lost to BLG, but if they win here against JDG, they'll be a lot happier. Honky going low, gets the stun though, the Nautilus hook is there, and Flandra, one skill shot goes wide, ends up losing his life. Nexus turret's down, resets, well, the recall's only, the respawn's only here in 10 seconds, the Nexus going lower and lower. Vampire should be able to protect Honky at the end. Junja comes through, and JDG will just about win themselves game 1. Anyone's Legend, they'll have to work on those objective setups. Not good enough here in game 1. Junja carries the day. Fight will get countered. Malphite will just... Malphite cannot play into certain top lane matchups very well. If you get last pick Yorick, it's kind of hell. Or Nah, right? Just loses. Okay, they are right next to the crowd mics. Production, that's not fair. Thank you, Amber, so much for the sub there. Do appreciate that. Make it real. Flandra coming down to help Tarzan on the invade. Okay, now this is a bit more interesting. So JDG, they spot this out with the ward. Now, one of the things which Tarzan's not very good at is kind of responding to invades happening on his side of the rift. Now, Junja is better at that. Now, he can go over to his own bot side. Junja's going to try and get over vision. Can he try and smite away red buff from his own side of the jungle? You can certainly see. He's going to try and use a blast cone, maybe. Yeah, he is. Going to walk over to him. He's gotten into melee range. Tarzan goes low. This might be a smite fight over it. It's going to come down to, is anyone else roaming over? No, straight 1v1 in the jungle. It's going very low. Who gets it? It goes over to Tarzan. So Tarzan wins the smite fight. Junja now has to flash. He has the E to follow. Junja's in a bit of trouble now. Doesn't have the Q for the knock-up. Tarzan very, very happy with this. Junja is now down 2 camps, soon to be 3 with the Krugs going away. Tarzan took last game personally. He took last game personally. Junja was the better jungler, and Tarzan was by far second best. Tarzan's had a couple of games like that recently, where it feels like anyone's legend have not been able to support his early jungle pathing. This time they do. Vayne leaves top lane at level 1, helps him take that camp a little quicker. And Tarzan's now ahead. He's going to cross over the map, go red quadrant to red quadrant. Plans the W onto Honky there. A bit of damage onto him. Whoa, hang on. Whoa, 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 whoa. Tarzan's not even going to his bot side. He's not even going Raptors to Raptors. He's going to start contesting on the bot side. Both of them have smite up again. This is still a level 2 Malphite. I mean, he definitely wins this in terms of the fight. Junja has to back off. He's going to have to try and look for the smite. There you go. He's just... He doesn't even need to smite this. He holds his smite. Junja can't get to it. Blue buff's now there. Junja was hoping that Tarzan would smite, and he doesn't. Now he can drag this into the bush. He has a ward to put in there, but if he walks up, Tarzan will just butcher him. Gala trying to get a good trade, but the Ashe Seraphine is actually winning the early bot lane shove, so they're not able to roam over. Junja has vision, but he won't get the smite. Tarzan, it actually goes down to 1 HP. We'll get that. So, oh my god. Tarzan has stolen Raptors, red buff, Krugs, Romp, and blue buff. He has stolen 5 camps from the enemy jungle. Tarzan has yet to touch a camp on his own side of the map. King of the jungle, baby. Tarzan having an exceptional early game. There are 6 camps you can take from your jungle on first clear. Tarzan has taken 5 of them away from Junja. What absurdity. He's not even going towards his own jungle again. He's going into enemy Raptors. Hope is maybe dying in the 2v2. Gets close. An extra auto attack. First blood to Gala, but he will die on the same time. Ashe actually also ends up getting the kill. So it ends up being 1 for 1 in terms of that. And he's... Oh my god. Out of 7 camps spawned, Tarzan has taken 6 of them from Junja's jungle. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone else, I haven't seen something like this in an era of League of Legends. I haven't seen... I actually have not seen this. He's got 5 times the camps that Junja has. Junja only gets his second camp at 4 minutes. If you want to understand why the jungle is so... Well, jungle is so important right now, just watch what you can do with a winning jungle matchup. Junja is never getting level 6. He's just never getting level 6. We might see a flash for flash trade in the mid lane, but I think Honky's out of mana. Junja is down, like... What the hell, man? Junja is down, like, 8 camps. Tarzan finally goes for a full clear now. The heal comes through from that. Doesn't quite get himself everything on target, but Kyle, great roam from him. Honky over pushes, dies for it. And this is just disaster for JDG. This is a jungle masterclass. Sit and learn. Sit and learn, folks who are watching this. Tarzan takes the winning jungle matchup and is just permanently in the enemy jungle. The Malphite can't do crap. The little things like making sure that Junja, that he doesn't use his smite on the Gromp, so he can smite away the blue buff as well. Junja loses both camps in bot side. It's just incredible, isn't it? It is just incredible. Tarzan will finally recall 5 minutes 20 into the game. Junja has a ruby crystal and a cloth armor. Tarzan's going to get himself a full tunneler. Shanks does have level 6 here. He can actually realm warp into the plate. There's no flash on Vampire or on Gala. There we go. Can they get anything in place here? The slow doesn't quite land. Does he get the Rune Prison? Yeah, he does. The E goes wide, though, from Kyle. I think just about. Do they have the damage? No! Last Q kills him. Just enough damage. Great damage calculation by Shanks. Second kill participation of the game for him after assisting Kyle killing Honky earlier. Tarzan has a full Caulfields, actually. Not going towards the tunneler. I think he feels like he's doing so much goddamn damage that he doesn't need the... He doesn't need the goddamn tunneler. Who cares for that? You get the extra damage on the board. You're not going to be dying to Junja anyway. Okay, okay, that's very funny, Midge. But for those of you in YouTube chat, Midge has said, I wish Tarzan would ruin me like this. Jesus Christ, alright. Okay. Gets Dragon first to the game. Hey, that chat said it, not me. Chat said it, not me. Flandra, even with Xiaoshu in the top side. Going for the S. By the way, going for the... I appreciate when players go for like the old esports skins, paying homage to the original greats. Piglet's Vayne skin from Season 3, SKT T1 Vayne. And once again, they're in the enemy jungle. He has double the farm of Junja. He has Smite available too, and his Smite is higher value. So Junja can't even win the Smite fight. He can't win the Smite fight because his Smite is lower HP. Doesn't get it. The ward goes down. And it's another Smite from Tarzan. You can see from the color of the Smite, right? Oh, Jesus Christ. Look at the jungle pet item, the jungle item, right? 16 to 24. That is 8 camp advantage. Tarzan, what a wonderful jungler you are. Is this game just doomed for JDG now? If they get a really good first fight of the game around Shockwave and Malphite, then it is still winnable. But they need to catch, realistically, 3 people in a combo. I don't think 2 will be enough. They need to probably one-shot the bot lane or Flandra. Harder to do that with Flandra's exhaust. Harder to do that with Tarzan's ultimate. They're walking into the enemy jungle. They spot Junja again. I mean, bot lane can't walk up to it. What is this? He can't defend anything. He can't defend anything. He's got a Barmy's Cinder. Tarzan has Smite again. And reminder, again, he has the strongest Smite. Now, his Smite's on cooldown now, but Junja can't walk over to it. Shanks is going to walk down. Junja might try and walk over to it now, but if he does, Shanks kills him. He doesn't have the 6 to get away from it. Honky's walking over, does have Shockwave. Might try and trade heavily onto Shanks. Tarzan may let this reset. In fact, he doesn't have Smite, so he probably should. Coming up in a handful of seconds. Hope is coming over. Ash Arrow lands onto Honkyu. The wind becomes lightning is there. Where's the Shockwave? Don't think it's enough. It's a 2-man. It's not enough. This is one of the most dominant games I have ever seen in between 2 top teams. Tarzan's even walking across mid lane to go bully out Junja some more. God damn, Tarzan. Give him a bit of a... Give him a break. This feels like it's like a... This feels like it's a crime at this point. He's going to take the Raptor camp. Does he walk over towards blue buff again? He might just walk over towards blue buff again. No, he's not. Is he? What's he doing now? Wolves is going down. So he's not going to go contest that. He's going to go into Grubs instead. Oh, Tarzan. What? 73 CS to 29. 13 camps ahead. I actually cannot remember an early game in jungle which has ever gone like this. It's very, I understand that it's not all the kills in the world. This is more impressive than getting a pentakill at like level 5 or whatever. This is more impressive than a pentakill in the first few minutes of the game. Junja will get his first blue buff of the game at 9 minutes and 30 seconds. The MVP of game 1 has been made to look second class in this game. Tarzan is yet to back a second time, by the way. He's taken 1 back in the game, has been permanently out on the map. Ultimate flashed away from by Vampire. It's not like he's really had much opportunity to influence this game, has it, Vampire? Tarzan's still waiting for his back. 800 gold ahead. Not spending much of that. Not that it matters. He's still killing Malphite anyway. Is this just because it's a Malphite jungle? A lot of it is because of the pathing which Junja took. He doubled down on trying to smite the red buff. He couldn't. He lost his smite, and he had to flash, and had to reset. That meant that Tarzan had an XP advantage, a red buff advantage, a flash advantage, and is on the stronger early game champion. That failed smite on the red buff from Junja led to everything else. It also helped that Hope and Kyle were winning the bot lane 2v2. Gala and Vampire were not pushed up enough to go help Junja in his own jungle, nor was Honkyu in mid lane. So anyone's Legends lanes were also doing their part in this too. But Tarzan winning that smite fight on red is the really big factor there. Junja went Wolves, tried to contest it, and then just the whole game fell apart. Someone mentioned that Vampire might end up having more CS than Junja, and that is a very funny comment. That's a very funny comment. This is one of those games where you just FF in scrims. You just reset. You say, remake. We're not playing this out. We don't learn anything from playing a scrim like this. Eclipse is brought up for Xiaoshu, even in gold with Flandra. Can't complain much there. Level advantage for Tarzan, no surprise, of course. Tarzan has a full Sundered Sky. What an incredible game from Tarzan. He is one of the best Xin Zhao players of all time. If you remember MSI 2025 last year, he won, I think it was game 1 versus either BLG or T1. His Xin Zhao game again in one of those series was described as the perfect Xin Zhao game. This is another one of those games where it feels on a similar level. Junja is trying to take Dragon. Is he spotted doing this? Yeah, he is, I think. They spot him now. They won't be able to contest it. Bot lane's under turret, so they will get themselves a Dragon. Tarzan not pushing his luck. He's going to go towards top side. He might actually go towards top side camp steals instead. He might actually just go towards Raptors and red buff. I mean, he's strong enough to. He's got the Sundered Sky. He is so... Yeah, he's going to go for a Raptor steal. Why not? Scanning out along the way. Honkyu is aware that there might be a steal coming through. Honkyu will spot the ball, and I mean, the Raptors are going to get taken here. Now, I mean, even if you throw the combo forwards, I don't think you win it, do you? Tarzan again has the strongest smite. Will smite it away. Red buff is up. Now, Tarzan smites down for that. I think that... Doesn't Tarzan just fight him, though? Hang on, Vampire... They really want to fight over this. Now, Tarzan needs to be careful. I think he's aware of the resets. Kyle was on the roam first, of course. Tarzan doesn't have his smite for this one. That's the Gust Walker. He needs to be a little careful here. Walks it. Oh my god, he gets it. He gets the red buff. That is just criminal. Pops the ult first. Gala hit by the ultimate. Tarzan just ulting to make sure he wasn't one-shot by, you know, a Malphite into an Orianna. Didn't quite know where the Orianna was, I suppose. Was back behind his turret. It's another buff steal. He is double the CS of Junja nearabouts. This is going to go down in history as one of the greatest jungle clears of all time. This is the textbook of how you play an early winning jungle matchup. You know, you show this game to someone who's watching League of Legends for the first time, and this is the kind of game which makes you want to play jungle. This is the kind of game where you think, oh god, yeah, that's how, I want to be that powerful. I want to determine the game like that. This is genuinely one of those games. Now, of course, it is just the early game. It is a 2,000 gold lead at 13.5 minutes, and it is on a Xin Zhao, who is not always the best at using said gold lead too. This game could still go awry for anyone's legend. Particularly against the combo, which, as we said from JDG, could be so destructive. If you just land the Orianna Malphite combo onto the backline, this game can go on its head. But on Tarzan's individual level, there is absolutely nothing more he could have done to drive the point home. Wonderful. This is genuinely wonderful. I am enjoying watching this game so much. And of course, if you're sat here as a JDG fan, I'm sure it's galling as well to see this jungle happen. Of course, Junja game 1 MVP, incredible game from him. Anyone's Legend needed this realistically. They are a team which has had ups and downs in terms of form. Yes, they are solidly into the top 4 of the pack alongside JDG, Top Esports, and BLG. But we saw against NIP, things didn't go so well from game 1 versus JDG right here. Definitely not the best look for them either. Another Phage in inventory from Tarzan. 2 levels up on Junja. Another blue buff. Oh, God. Is this going to be like 4 out of 5 blue buffs to Tarzan if he gets this? He does have Smite. Tarzan going to force Junja away. Shank's walking up to see if he can get a play onto him. Does actually get the root. Xiaoshu is here. They're jumping onto the rise. Here comes Junja. So they have the extra damage needed, though it doesn't look like it. And Tarzan gets to fight for the first time this game properly. Xiaoshu goes into melee range. The Crescent Guard is good. The Malphite dies. Teleport in from Flandre, and JDG not only lose the blue buff, but they lose their goddamn jungler. It's the first death of the game like Junja, but realistically, the spiritual death happened at the minute 2 when he lost that red buff smite. It's the first physical death for him, but I think that one's just the body catching up to the spirit. This is perhaps the greatest early game jungle pathing I've ever seen. It genuinely, in terms of like how efficiently Tarzan has managed to deal with Junja. This is one which you review, of course. I think Junja made the mistake looking for that red buff, but very few junglers in the world can do this. Maintaining a double CS lead onto Junja. It's hard. You know, you get it at first. You think, okay, I'll even out eventually, or at least it'll stay at this level. It hasn't, though. Just hasn't. Now, Shank's walking up, realizing that actually, yeah, I mean, this Malphite, he ain't got nothing on me. They do go for a heavy trade onto Ryze, but Ryze is tanky. One of the things that, well, I mean, both ultimates go wide from the Seraphine. They win a fight in which they miss both their bot lane ultimates. That's quite something. Damn. Even almost kills Xiaoshu there. Is this a harder gap than the Canyon Peanut game? Ooh. That's a good point. The Canyon Peanut game is the only other one which sticks out. The thing about the Canyon Peanut game is that it was... Look, Nidalee falls off. Shinzao doesn't have the same issues of falling off, really. And Nidalee is kind of expected to destroy early game. I mean, Shinzao can do that as well. Junja gets his first camp from the enemy side of the jungle at 16 minutes and 30 seconds. However, it will be traded for Herald. Herald is taken, so Junja can get a Raptor camp. God damn. Walking up towards top side, Tarzan is here. That is terrifying. Honky will complete his recall. They can Herald top lane to make sure that turret goes down if they really need to. I don't even need it. Oh, Flandre is popping his ultimate, so he gets quicker Q cooldown. He can ult against the wall. They're not going to kill the turret first, but they will kill it in that wave. That's quite intelligent there from Flandre, actually. Now, using that final out, he's got Hex Player anyway. He gives him the extra attack speed. I haven't seen that. That is something which I will remember for solo queue. Pop the Hex Plate, so you get better Q cooldown and attack speed. And better AD as well to hit the tower. Dragon is now being started. Level 11 for Tarzan. Still 2 levels up on Gala. There's a teleport coming through. That's going to be the Breath of Light. Here comes the Rise on the flank, though. Do they spot it? I don't see it pinged out. Q over the wall. Dragon leashed by JDG. Tarzan will very happily take this one. $1.4k gold lead in jungle. It's actually more impressive because there's no kills involved. If Tarzan had killed him a bunch of times, I think it'd be a very different kind of game, right? Because he's done it through farm alone, it makes it even more impressive. Junja's managed to catch up a bit of XP. Junja has flash and ult. He does manage to get the smite on the Gromp. The rune prison is there. Junja may well have to flash and ult away. We'll just use the ult. Gets his first smite of the game in contesting that. But now there's a Herald being dropped in bot lane. They will be trading turret for turret. Xiaoxu will try and ult Flandre, you presume. Uses that Q, could condemn that. Ults backwards, but he just misses it. He misses it. Turret will go down. Kill onto Xiaoxu. Honky is getting gold from top turret, but this is legitimately a 4v5. Now, there is a reason we call JDG Junja Dice Gaming. Game 1, you see the best of him. Game 2, you see Tarzan. Take him to the shops. And sell him off, I suppose. I don't really know where that metaphor was going. Or that idiom. Well, he's taking him to school. Sell him that way anyway. Or the morgue. That'll work too. Tower trade. The gold lead's not that crazy, but the XP lead is really scary. The Flandre took a, hefty trade against Xiaoxu. He actually lost a lot of his HP, but he just kept him under tower. Made sure he couldn't break out of the encirclement. Got condemned at kind of max range. Tries to ult out of the way. That is actually the nerf to Mbessa's cast time on the ultimate. If he hits that there, on last patch, he probably hits that. Still 50 CS up in the jungle. He's 12 camps up, man. Ridiculous. Yeah, in some ways, I think this is more impressive than, like, the Nidalee jungle gaps. Because Nidalee, your champion is designed to do that. Shinzao, you gotta work a little harder to get up in the early game like that. I know that Malphite had a lot of early game nerfs. And to be honest, Junja made the mistake, right? He doubled down, but it's still very impressive. Perhaps there are other games you can bring up as a point of comparison. Ashe ult is missed onto Junja. Would have maybe forced the ultimate or the flash there. Did have the Merc Tread, so Shreyas can shrug off some things himself. Tarzan jumping onto Junja. Of course, he's winning the trade as the Black Cleaver. Say that the Electrocute is used, but Tarzan will shrug off a little bit of that. Jumping forwards again. Does have the ultimate. Does he pop it? Yes, he does. Junja does have his ultimate. This is actually not a bad chance for JDG to potentially fire back. Honky does have his ultimate. Tarzan lost a decent amount of HP there. Does Junja flash for the ultimate? No, doesn't look like it. Would have to be flash for flash anyway. Realm Warp is going somewhere. Shanks goes right into the middle of the enemy team. Flashes away from the Malphite ultimate, and the Encore doesn't quite connect. The Breath of Light was used preemptively. Xiaoxu does have flash, but he won't get to use it. Dies too soon. Anyone's Legend continue rolling forwards. JDG have just not been able to find that clapback team fight. Anyone's Legend have been pressuring them off important points of the map, and they're going to take Baron pretty much on spawn. Now, Junja has no flash, no ultimate. Xiaoxu is down. There's a shockwave, but precious little else. JDG will take a mid lane turret, but it is pennies to pounds. Anyone's Legend will take the Baron on spawn, and again, this is just another milestone in that jungle advantage. Shanks goes solo into the enemy team. That is a ballsy move. Flashes out of the first unstoppable force used offensively this game, or the second one rather. Actually, the first one was in the bot jungle. Junja has yet to do anything important in this game. That Malphite angle has just not worked out well. Now, there's a reason we haven't seen Malphite as much jungle. He has been nerfed a lot in terms of his jungle clear. He definitely has issues as a jungler. The real problem here was him doubling down on that red buff smite, losing it and his flash, and then being delayed so far that Tarzan could just spend the entirety of the game in his jungle. What a wonderful game from Tarzan. Enjoy this. Sit back, rewatch it. This is the kind of game which, like, junglers play League of Legends for, in a lot of ways. Because it's so cerebral, right? There's a difference between outplaying an enemy and, you know, breaking their ankles or whatever, which is very, very satisfying, don't get me wrong. And then also just outthinking them. Just being the better cerebral player. Condemn into the wall. Good trade there from Flandre, saving his Q. You notice that what Flandre is doing there, by the way, is he's not just rolling directly at the Embessa. A lot of Vaynes into Cassantes and Embessa, Q into them, and then they just all in them. Hang on, the ultimate's going in towards the bot lane turret. No, missing that. But if you're patient with the Vayne, you actually want to hold that tumble to get out of that first bursty skill shot. Malphite has to recall again. Tarzan's 2k up. Well, this is why we say Tarzan may be the best jungler in the world on his day. Shockwave onto Shanks. Ultimate onto him too, but there's too many shields. It's an Encore onto 4! Breath of Light not used in time. Gala will get taken down by Hope, and the aggressive play works out so poorly for JDG. Flandre has a chance to run forwards. Won't get the kill, but will chunk out half the HP of Honky. With the Baron buff active, they're going to Realm Warp into the base. Two people going along for the ride. Tarzan is going to be interrupted. Shanks is going low now. Not low enough, though. Tarzan hits himself. The tower shot ends up taking down the Rise as he goes too far. Xiaoxu will die on the other side of it. Shanks, I'm not really sure why you took aggro there. Mistake from him. Perhaps Deathfire Touch giving him aggro unexpectedly. Mid lane inhibitor turret goes down. This is perhaps the most dominant game in LPL this split, and it's between a third and a fourth place team. These are not low tier teams. These are not teams with a huge discrepancy. It's not, you know, BLG just utterly disrespecting a team at the bottom of Ascend. This is JDG, our team which went to first stand. They just destroyed game 1, too. The Encore's incredible. No, Gala tries to dash out of it. The Breath of Life can be used preemptively. I don't think Vampire quite realized the situation there. Not that Vampire's had much chance to influence this game, really. The bot lane, they lost the early 2v2, and then, really, game's fallen apart through jungle. Feel a bit bad for the other JDG players. I mean, if Honku, Gala, and Vampire had won early lanes, maybe they could have gone and bailed out jungle. That's a big if, though. Now, Flandre did roam down at the level 1 as well, right? So it's quite hard for them to walk over and do that the same way. 189 to 128 CS. He's maintained like a 60 CS lead in jungle. For most of the game, he was double the CS of Junja. Insanity. Insanity. Alright, if you had to give Tarzan the best chance to win next year as a carry / crucial player, what would you do? I'd like him to be put on Genji and replace Canyon, or put him on an LPL super team. That's a fair point, actually. Hey, Sam, appreciate the coffee. Sam, have you been catching up with this game?
I've caught some of it.
Well, let me tell you what happened, Sam. This is, because Sam's a jungler himself.
I am.
You will want to watch this back to back to back until it's burned onto your eyelids. This is the greatest out-farming jungle performance from a jungler I have ever seen.
That good, huh?
From the first 7 camps of the game, which Junja had on his side of the jungle, Tarzan got 6 of them.
Oh my god.
Of the first 5 blue buffs of the game, Junja got 1 of them.
How the hell does that happen?
Tarzan was double the CS up until about 140 CS from Junja. And the reason why I think this is more impressive than, say, a Nidalee doing it or something like that, he didn't need to kill Junja for it. Yeah. Junja made a crucial mistake. We started on Wolves, went over towards red buff and tried to smite fight it. He lost the smite fight, lost his flash, and they had to reset. Tarzan then didn't go back to his own side of the jungle. He went straight towards bot lane because his bot lane was winning already. Took everything there. Realized that Junja was on Gromp. Went over to go steal it and chose not to use his smite on it, just bullied him over so he could smite the blue buff instead.
I just watched on screen. Shanks takes their own blue buff.
Yep.
Flandre took the enemy Gromp. You're watching Tarzan take the rest of the camp. Like, John just got nothing.
No, he's got nothing. This will be in the Hall of Fame of Jungle Diff. Tarzan, you know, he is one of these players which I've had such pleasure watching after I joined the LPL. You know, I joined in 2023. I saw him on LNG. I thought he was best jungler in the LPL for moments of time during that year, especially when you've got players like Kanavi in your league. Of course, that changes a lot too. Of course, then Kanavi, also one of the other great junglers in here. I think that many great junglers have graced the halls
LPL. They're looking for a group up play. Hope doesn't have flash. You can see that they're really afraid of that fog of war.
And they should
now,
be.
Tarzan can walk up to it. Hope Kyle can't. Now, they might try and jump over onto Flandra, but no, this is what they're reduced to. They're looking for the Bronze Zodia combo, but they've never had the real chance to do it. Honku has a half burst build. He's got Protobelt and Blackfire. Going towards the Death Cap. They're really looking for this. They spot them again. Honky doesn't do bad damage. Maybe goes for... Hang on, the Ash Arrow lands weirdly onto the Malphite there. Not quite sure how that one works. It's another cap steal away. It's all of this for a Raptor cap steal away. They've got another Raptor cap onto him. 211 CS, 233. I can't believe he's 3k up just from farm, Sam.
And 80% of the wards they just put down, that they fought so hard to get the control, that little pocket to play around, just disappeared. It's gone.
They have to group up as far. I mean, JDG, credit to them, they understand the only way they win this game is with a mega combo. That's the only way they win.
Yeah.
Tarzan does take, decent damage from Galar and Honku. It's not unwinnable if you end up spotting AL making a mistake. They might be able to jump forwards onto someone like Vayne, or if they clump up and you get the, the Shockwave Malphite combo. Fantastic. That's why anyone's legend. I think they're slowing down the game until they get flashback on Hope. I think that's a huge cooldown for them. Flandra. So he's going to spot out here. Needs to be careful. Junja's going to get flashed away from. That's why you keep your flashes against the Malphite. Junja has to flash back. The ult onto 3 will get cleansed away by the Milio. The ultimate's coming back from JDG. Not bad here. Tarzan jumping forwards. JDG, they really wanted to use that flash economy well. Shockwave onto Shanks. Not bad. Here comes the Ambassador 2. Tarzan goes into the play. He's quite low. He's got the GA to work with. JDG realized they must group as 5. They get 1 for their hard-earned effort. That will have to be... I think they have to go Baron now. They have to go Baron right now. Xiaoshu will recall. He'll teleport back into the play. Credit to JDG. This is literally the only way back into the game for them. This could actually be Baron to JDG. Anyone's legend. You got to be careful now. There'll be a teleport coming in from the Vayne. They're going to spot Xiaoshu out on that wall. The Ash Arrow spots out Honku. He'll go down. The threading of the needle has missed the eye of it. And the needle stabs into the palm instead. Junja, it's been needles in his eyes all game. Only dies for the 3rd time, but as we said, it's just the body catching up to the spirit. The death really happened at minute 2 of the game. JDG have been second best. They do try to find a way out of this situation. They try and find a way to stop the bleeding. It is just not possible. Vampire will take an extended death, maybe looking for... Oh gosh, he tried to look for the execute. I'm not sure he'll get it. Match the actually at this point hits another Q. It's not a bad attempt from JDG in the mid lane. Game's kind of gone already, though. Realm up onto the Nexus turrets. 7 seconds on Gala. I don't think it'll be enough. Sadly, the hero of the game will not make it for the family photo finish. Tarzan was everything in this game. One of the greatest jungle performances of all time. Anyone's legend, even the series. Same week, BLG are a heads and shoulder above the rest of these teams. This is a top table clash, though. Let's get into it. Well, there you go. Beijing never really disappoints with those kind of gyros. Caitlyn Elise. Jin Onivia. Junja steals away Raptors. Skarner's doing the same thing on the other side. Can't do much to Shanks here, but it does mean that Honku gets melee range pretty quickly. Tarzan was a little late to this. He actually might get smote on this. This is a problem. Has to smite that away. Does he get all of these? Does he get level 2? No, he doesn't. Junja flashes to make sure that Tarzan doesn't get level 2. That is crucial. Yone can now come over. No, he can't. He's stuck in lane. Tarzan, flash for flash with Junja. Junja understands how important this early jungle meta is. Tarzan was a little too slow on the takeaway of the Raptors. Maokai, very, very good at that camp start himself with the bush sapling, if he needs it. Or the Q, of course. Shanks getting out traded in the mid lane too. Because Maokai walked across mid lane, it allowed Honku a better trade against Shanks too. What is this draft? This is a Game 3 fearless between 2 teams, which I've been cooking a little bit. So now, we have seen 3 games kind of determined, well, 2 games determined by jungle difference. Q actually hits there. Damn, Honku, nasty early trading. We saw Shanks try the other side of this matchup versus... Gosh, who was it versus? No, sorry, it was Cream who tried this versus Shanks and he lost out on it. But Shanks then had a Yone game where he had a bit of an awkward game, actually. Got very far ahead and then struggled to activate it, I seem to remember. See that Xiaoxi doing quite well in that top lane laning phase. Hope missing a lot of minions under turret there. Again, we're saying Vampire has never played the Elise before. We'll see whether he gets to in the future. This is actually a potential kill angle. Might flash for the Q. Oh, he flashes forward, flash for flash. Honky does take the turret shot on the way back, but the wave is denied from Shanks. Tarzan gets his blue buff. Wants to get towards bot Scuttle Crab. Again, he's giving me like half a camp down. Although Malachi might be able to go in towards Raptor respawn. Yeah, he's pinging for it. He wants to go for the Raptor respawn. Azira's pushing in mid lane. I think it's dangerous to go for the Raptor respawn because Azira's on the reset now. Good trade onto Kyle, but he does have the egg. Not bad there. Cleanse away. Tarzan is actually not going for anything on bot side. He's going towards bot side. Gala has flash. Needs to use it well. Does he have the wall stun? It's going to be pretty close here. Vampire flashing away too. Double summoners away from them. Tarzan had used the wall stun to get into position, looks like. He's now going to head over towards bot lane. Remind, he doesn't have flash himself. Can they get a kill onto him? Going to get the trap on target. This is pretty good damage. Tarzan disrespects the Caitlyn Elise. Gala first blood. And that's just disrespectful from Tarzan. Tried to make a power play, and now he's going to lose everything topside. Now, Tarzan, from one of the greatest early jungle pathing games I've ever seen, to one where he double dips and doesn't quite get it. Hope would kill with a fourth shot hit. Doesn't get it onto Gala. The wave push is still good, but Tarzan, an unnecessary death. Now, Vampire just cocoons him. They have the damage. Tarzan dies very quickly. And now suddenly, you know, that's going to be red buff away by Junja. Didn't take the Krugs, but he took the Raptor respawn as well. Tarzan is kind of jobless here now. Junja getting his revenge. Well, Junja had a very good game 1 as well. Junja dice gaming, man. Junja dice gaming. There is just something about this team which just revolves around the jungle role. And it just so happens that the meta adds into that too. I feel like in a lot of these decisions, you know, it's not even, you know, there are points where earlier in the split, I think that AL's lanes didn't do very well at helping Tarzan. This is actually just him not being very well prepared for this game, though, and not understanding what's happening at the level 1, and Junja being far more on the ball about what you can do with the level 1 jungle matchups on the whole. And I think across the average of this split, you can see that. Oh, Gala got a BF sword first back. That is bad for anyone's legend. The BF sword is for... The B in BF sword is bad for, you know, damage there from Honky. Only takes the 1 tower shot. Of course, the Yone is really good at kind of going in, getting the shield, taking 1 tower shot and going out. JDG have 3 pushing lanes. Yeah, they do. Although, I mean, you would expect mid lane to be in a better state because Malachi went over the mid lane. Honky had a better trade, and then Shanks has had to be way more respectful. He hits the Q here, he kills, by the way. He does just kill him. Shanks, I mean, you had to have an E to the side. Honky just solo kills him very easily. Hits the Q, hits the ult. Didn't have to commit anything else. No flashes on either side. Shanks has been out-traded very heavily, and Junja now has level 6 against Tarzan. That's first strike as well. Puts a bush sapling to go chase him down as well. Why not? I mean, Honky's getting a great early game here on the Yone. You know, something we said quite a lot about the Yone on this channel recently is that Yone is not meant to be a champion with a laning phase. He is a very good scaling champion who is meant to get out of early game and then start to be a problem. So the logic follows that much, like with Azir in the past. If you have a scaling champion with a good laning phase, then you have an OP. Yone has gotten out of lane, he has a kill, he has a 10 CS lead, and a lot of that is because of the jungle matchup, don't get me wrong. Because Junja has done very well there. But now Shanks is on the worst end of this. Shanks should have a better lane versus it. Has to hit that cannon. Honky doing a very good job there of making sure that Shanks has to hit the minion and not him. That is always a good... Sorry, if you're a mid laner out there, or a top laner, of course. But particularly if you're in ranged versus ranged 1v1 matchups, you want to make the enemy champion choose between hitting you and hitting the minion. So if you're playing against a Victor... There was a great video by Midbeast many years ago, back in like season 5 or 6 or something like that, where Midbeast made like the 101 of like laning in mid lane. And his tip was effectively, stand on your dying minions. They have to hit that or you. It doesn't work against certain champions with AoE, right? But if you force them to hit you or the dying minion, you can then hit them as they're looking for the farm. That's your golden standard of it. Obviously, it's a little bit different when you're against something like an Orianna or a Syndra, where you stand on top of the giant minion and you hit both. But you need to make sure that you're in position to hit them as they're hitting the minion, which is exactly what Honku did there with the E. The ult's going over here. That would have actually potentially been a kill. It's a little scary there, actually. We'll go up for the auto attack. Takes the turret shot too much there, actually. That first Marika ult forcing Shanks into a worse laning state. This game is now being lost through mid lane by anyone's legend. Honku, one of the things that we were saying at the start of this week was, okay, Honku, you're good. You've smashed some players like Cream. You've smashed some players, like Care. Can you do it against the mid laners we think are vying for second best? So Cream and Shanks, these two players which really came up last year in the LPL and became the new school of elite players within the LPL. And the answer has been yes, largely. He got destroyed by Knight, but then again, everyone does. I do think on the whole, though, Honku is more than made a match for Shanks and Cream. There's a little bit of question at points throughout bits of Split 1. He was very inconsistent with the way that he went into those laning matchups. Vampire is on the roam. The stun has landed there. I think Flandra just dies in general. It's a flash forward from Vampire. Good roam from him. Takes a turret shot, will be able to E out. Good roam from him. Now, Vampire, often a player who I've criticized for not making good plays in a macro sense on sidelines. Right there was very good, though. Kyle maybe looking to do something onto the Honku return point. Can't do so. Tarzan lost this game so hard. I mean, Junja flashing for the small Raptors was huge. I didn't see exactly what happened in the early game. In fact, I might go back and see what happened in the very early game, just to see what happened on that camp there. Another good trade onto Shanks. Takes one turret shot and then out. Have a quick look at it. It's very, obviously very important what happened at that level 1. What happened there? Yeah, basically he didn't realize what was happening at first. He wanted to start on his... he got pushed off at level 1 from Raptors, went towards his Wolves. Or rather, he got pushed off and he couldn't go there in time. Oh my god, he hits Shanks on the comeback from the teleport. Ult for ult. Hang on, he's under a tower. That's a mistake from Honku. Tarzan was around the corner. Vampire doesn't have flash. Does he have a repel? He might have to use it. The Mark ult's coming through. I think he'll die anyway. Kyle flashes and it's a double kill for Shanks. Shanks is back in the game. A huge, huge overextension from Honku. Tried to punish the teleport landing point. AL were around in the vicinity, though. Double assist to Tarzan and 2 kills to Shanks. He's in the gold lead now. Behind an XP, but that's huge. Now, Vampire was trying to look for the cocoon on the landing point as well. And he does hit it, but they actually overlap the CC. They overlap the CC. And the Emperor's Divide goes into the wall stun. Build your own wall stun combo. Full CC. Vampire dies as well. You understand why they're trying to dunk down on the Azir, but this time they didn't have the vision to make that work. They didn't have that kind of deep vision. Kyle flashes not a second too soon either. Honku once again going for those hard trades, but a Nash's Truth now in for Shanks off of the gold he got from that. Yeah, basically at the level 1, Xiaoshu walked in to help the invade onto Raptors. Tarzan went into enemy Raptors, but Junja knew he'd have the timing advantage on the clear, which ended up being the difference maker. That's why he could stop the level 2. So in a lot of ways, it's once again a laner walking down to help a Raptor start. Q missing for once there. Shanks goes forwards with the E shield. And now suddenly Shanks can actually trade a lot better again. Like a lot better again. Keeps up the lethal tempo there. Hope and Gala completely even in terms of their bot lane matchup, in terms of farm. The early kill was the only thing which is really the difference there. Vampire, the Elise was fine in early lane from what we could see. Good roam into top lane. Decent from him so far. Very much helped out by the fact that Junja is so far ahead. Vampire might go for a play here. Shanks does have the E again. They're stacking up the Q. This is too far, Shanks. Flashes away, E back. That's going to actually use 2 ultimates there from JDG. Honky was too far up, but at least he lives. And he does buy both ultimates there now. Q on target. That's a lot of damage onto Shanks. Oh, that's a bit of a mess. Can he get the full wall stun? Honky does have flash. He might have to use it. Flash away for the Q3. Honky very nearly dead there. Vampire. God, he's actually in a pretty difficult spot himself. It repels up, though, and he's safe. So much of this game is revolved around mid lane. I feel like every time I've seen Yone, it has become a mid lane-centric game. When you have a Yone in the game, he always wants to all in on every E timing. Recall coming through from Kyle. Has the electrocute, and he's going for the Rod of Ages. By the way, it's not a hex, like a hex-tech rocket belt, the proto belt rather. That's what I call it. I'm walking over for the short shot. Hope, not sure about that one. Sidesteps on the Cocoon. Nice from him, actually. Did have the cleanse. No idea how that W didn't hit, by the way. Guess 3D terrain working against Jhin for once. Crazy, that. Dragon being started. Curtain Call being pulled out too. Where's the 4th shot? Gets onto Junja. Not bad damage there. There's the Dirk already. Shanks needs to be a little careful here. Backstep on the Q. Gets the good E trade again. But then Honky's still getting the better of it because he has the Blade completed. Blade is a nasty, nasty point for the Yone, of course. So Dragon over to the side of JDG. 1.5k gold lead to them. Yes, the double kill in mid lane. It makes this game playable somewhat. I think Tarzan's actually recovered quite admirably. Do those Spiderlings fully tank the Jhin ult? No, no they don't. Jin's ult goes through minions, pets, and monsters. It'll only stop on champion hit. So you can ult through the Baron or Dragon. And it does do the same damage it would do to a champion to them, so it's based on missing health. Hang on, Hongq doesn't have flash. This is a problem. He's going to have to get ulted. Oh, he gets blocked on the ult on the way out. Hongq, this is the problem with the Yone. You go in on your E cooldown. It is so telegraphed. A great start to the game has now been shut down twice. Caitlyn ult will go on to Hope, but he gets the kill very happily there, evening up that kill, which went from Tarzan onto... Well, went from Tarzan to Gala, right, in the early phases of the game. I love lifesteal. It's so fun that you can't lose a trade. Yeah, that was like the Aurelia 2020 meta or whatever, when Aurelia switched over from building Triforce to building Blade. Yeah, very fun. Mid lane turret's taking a ton of damage. Yone's Legend losing a lot of plates there to Hongq's early lane versus Shanks. Shanks is now up in gold on Hongq, man. Xiaoshu's been trading pretty well versus Flandre. Of course, had the assist in that top lane dive from Vampire. Recall coming through from Tarzan, has his Protoplasm Harness. Liandry's from Ginger, the sole AP on the team for JDG. Well, I suppose you could say that at least with the Protobelt's not bad for that. Gives you a little bit more. Lots of base damage. And if it's on someone like Jhin or Onivia or even Gnar, it can be a problem. Hongq getting a tower on top side. That'll be the second turret again. AL not yet to get their first one. In fact, with that in mind, if JDG get Herald and deny it from anyone's Legend are going to find it quite hard to play the map. When you lose all of your turrets and you don't trade very well early, it's really hard to get back out into the game. Now, we've seen that teams can get kind of locked like 2 turrets to none, and they just never get access to the map again. Herald's getting started. I don't think anyone's... I mean, anyone's Legend might have to fight. This is my problem. Kyle has the Rod of Ages. Got it about 14 minutes. They'll be late for a mid laner, but, you know, the stats it gives you are still... Kyle just tanks a Bush Sapling and a Spiderling. Okay. Quarter of his HP. First strike proccing from Ginger. Tarzan does have flash, does have ult. The Caitlyn ult is going to go into Kyle. He doesn't mind tanking that one. Shanks was moving to body block it, then Kyle decided to tank it himself. Gala had the headshot loaded up there. Hope was trying to avoid that one with the way he was trading on the wave. Bush Sapling explodes there. Good poke there from the Maokai. Does have the ultimate. I do think JDG are in a better position here. Do they have Mega Gnar to work with? I mean, Flandre is Mega right now. Doesn't want to go for the fight, though. So Herald is taken by JDG. This is pretty big for them. They have 3 grubs. They'll instantly kill the mid lane tower because it's been punched a lot by Hongq. Poked down a lot. It's got Crystal Overgrowth on it, too. JDG have 2 dragons as well. They're very happy on the objective game. They have 3 grubs, 2 dragons, and the Herald. AL have managed to trade back okay in terms of kills, but not in terms of towers, not in terms of objectives. Hope's gone for the fleet footwork build. He's not gone for Death by Touch. In a poke lane like this, when you're against, you know, such a heavy amount of kill threat, you want to have your HP loaded up. He's going to go for the Stormrazor. Between Stormrazor and Fleet, he's a very mobile champion. Shanks is going to get the Crystal Overgrowth here. Just be careful of the Q3 stacking from Hongq. Tarzan, a lot of HP, not a huge amount of everything else. Merc tries to give him some resists, of course. Hang on, they're going in for this Scuttle Crab take here. Tarzan gonna walk into it. Shanks will not have to tank that. That's not bad damage onto the Skarner. He does miss the ult. Hongq will have to pop back. Still looks like Tarzan might go down. The Protoplasm Harness helping him, but he can't flash away to safety. 1 for none. Good use of terrain control from JDG. Tarzan can't survive that, even with that tank item of the Protoplasm Harness. JDG, just a little bit better at approaching the map. They used this early jungle and mid lead to get a good amount of damage on towers. And even though that gold lead did get a little bit rattled by the double kill to Shanks earlier, it's not really been game-changing. Gala and Hope just kind of trading evenly, but Gala's got better wave push on the whole. I think they can just walk up and take the tower here, actually. Yeah, they got 3 grubs. There you go. Mid lane turret goes. Very easy walk up from Xiaoxu. They just weren't ready to fight this. No Gnar in position. 4v4. I mean, Honky misses the ult and they still get the kill onto Tarzan. They still had the Maokai W after all of this. Good base damages from the Elise and from the Maokai. Xiaoxu moving away from the dragon there, was initially hit just about. Tarzan not quite there with the protoplasm activation just yet. Does have flash, chose to keep his flash, died in that last play. Battle Herald summoned. Don't need it for the turrets. Tarzan half HP. Bush sapling hits onto 4 people. That's insane from Junja. Hops back, does Honku after going forward. Xiaoxu on the flank was spotted there. I don't see how anyone's legend beat Deceptive now. Hang on, Vampire caught out. It's going to be the wall kind of separating out the terrain. Curtain's called, but I'm not really sure it's doing that much here. 4th shot onto Junja coming through soon. He does have flash. He does hit. That's good damage there. Hidden in the bush, though, was Honku and Vampire. Shanks goes down. A great little vision play by anyone's legend. Xiaoxu very nearly died. They just about on target. And the egg will save them for breakfast. Flash forward, but double flashes away. Flandre's Mega Gnar is just going to be served up for them. Honku goes forward with the second E of the fight. Hope, I don't think you're making it out of this one. A great vision play from Honku and Vampire to make the team fight winning play. Kyle is the last bird out of the rookery, and I don't think he's going to go home to this one, folks. Made his way out of the fight. Does not feel like he's got much else to say in this one, though. Kyle, no egg, gets the stun. He's going to take a long time to die. I just don't think it'll matter that much. Vampire's out of mana, though, Kyle. Going fairly low. He'll die to the Elise. Vampire, one last auto. Hang on a second, it's actually getting a little bit tricky there. In fact, Kyle might actually be out now. Kyle, where does he go with this? Gonna hide around the back of the... He's gonna hide on the Krug pit. He's gonna hide on the Krug pit. No, he's got the repel. He finds him. A bit of hide and seek. Vampire gets the kill. It's a solo kill for Vampire. Oh, gosh. I mean, as soon as the bush... Look, the Ocean Rift makes this a pain in the ass. You know, the bush sapling goes onto 4 people, but that's only there on the Ocean Rift. They get the so the Caitlyn ult onto Tarzan as well. And yeah, I mean, the damage onto Vampire is not bad from Kyle and the rest of the crew, but you just surely can't play the front to back like this as AL, no? They lose way too much of their HP, and then this is a great vision bait. Great vision bait. Honku gets an awesome combo here. The vision play from him was insane. Great from Honku. Mega Gnar flashed away from by Gala. Junja walked his way out of it. I mean, not that I think it saves any. I mean, maybe Hope can get a big play. I'm pretty sure they lose the fight anyway if they do that. Every series I watch JDG, Junja Dice Gaming as a concept becomes more and more solid, doesn't it? Hang on, jumping onto Junja. Does have flash. Should be safe here. Vampire and Gala are around in the area. Kyle's actually not that safe here. Hell, even Tarzan's not that safe. That's a lot of damage. Hope has to tank the 90 caliber net as an AD carry. Never want to see that happening, really. Xiaoxu is pushing in the bot lane, getting himself to the inhibitor turret. JDG are just playing so much better as a team across the map. Shanks has died, by the way. Well, oh god, sorry, yeah, my bad. Yeah, Shanks just died somewhere amongst this. Honku is in top lane. Oh, missed out on the ultimate there. Okay. Misses the Q3. Oh, so Honku died as well. So both mid laners ended up dying. The last auto attack from the Gnar hit the passive. So that's why they went so heavily in there. And then what happened? I guess that Shanks just got hit by a cocoon and died. Well, that's just bad vision play from Shanks. You can't walk up to the Caitlyn at least like that. Well played by Vampire and Gala. Get a very solid kill. Gala, you know, basically on his 3rd item with the fire cannon coming up soon. Both mid laners just kind of... Well, Honku whiffed it himself. Honku's had a mixed game. Great early lane. Since then, it's been a bit messy. Had the great vision play, but he also gave the double kill over to Shanks, and then, you know, not a great play there. But Shanks on the other side of it, he's finding it so hard to stand somewhere safely. No, mages in general can find it very difficult on open maps where a lot of people can kind of pick you off from Fog of War. You know, you're not someone with infinite amounts of tankiness or mobility. Gala and Vampire, very, very solid game from them. In terms of player of the game, it probably is still Ginger, although... Yeah, I mean, Vampire's had a pretty solid game. Ginger probably is my player of the game for the early game, though. Very good organization around the map to force Tarzan into the negative. Honky also a very solid early game on the Yone, but probably away from the MVP voting because, well, he entered a little bit, didn't he? Dragging up in less than a minute. Anyone's Legend, I mean, they're down 6k, well, 5, yeah, about 6k gold. It's Ocean Soul on the table very early on. JDG have utterly snowballed. Anyone's Legend just don't... They don't make it easy for themselves, do they? You know, the early jungle read has not been very solid from them across this split. The understanding of their composition's also not been very solid from them across this split. The Bush Sapling will get launched again towards them, a shield onto Tarzan. Maokai, lest we forget, is actually a bit of a poke bot, not really a tank anymore. He's a bit more of a annoyance. The Spiderlings can do that too. Hope is actually going to trigger that Bush Sapling. Not going to get hit by that one. Oh, God, Shanks, that's not a place you want to be. Flash away, no HP. Losing that HP. Oh, God, he's hit by the Maokai ultimate. That's scary as heck. He's going to get hit almost by the Oni ultimate. I think they didn't realize it was Shanks hit by it at first. Even then, I think this is probably Dragon over. Flandra going in with a Mega Nut. The Vampire goes up into it. That's going to be a secure of the Ocean Soul by Junja. Tarzan gets the ultimate. Well, actually, it dies before it procs. Cocoon, long range onto Hope. There's actually a chance of an assassination there now, too. Flash forward from Gala. A cleanse away from the CC. And he'll get himself right into the thick of things. He's a long range AD carry, but he's doing it up close and personal. The Glacial Storm, well, it's not going to be enough, really. It's more like a stiff breeze, and JDG won't fall down to that one. A quadra kill to Gala out of the bot lane fight. 4 dragons, 4 kills. And only 4 losses for them today. Anyone's Legend will be sent to 7 and 5. JDG will claim 3rd place just behind Top Esports and go to 8 and 4. They have beaten Anyone's Legend and Top Esports in the same week, only losing to BLG. JDG solidifying themselves as truly one of our top teams in the LPL. A great week for them to ramp up towards the end of this split and into playoffs. Anyone's Legend on the other side, there are some issues being shown for them. They are not consistent